just bang on.
And it's the difference between what have been exceptionally good seasons to being brilliant seasons, Pat, in that they've reached the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Well, they're looking to reach the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the 3rd year in a row. Of course, they've been the second place finishes in the Premier League that we've talked ad nauseam about. But it's the difference this season, the fact that they do have that strength in depth that not just allows them to make changes, but also keep players fit.
Yes, 100% that is the difference. It takes a long time to build a squad, you know, and everyone thinks it's just easy. You add another player, but it's not easy to get exactly the ones you want, and they need to be as good as what you've got, hopefully a bit younger that you can work with as well, and make the players that you've got better players. The point you make, Matt was talking about the substitutes there as well. If you think about the goals against Everton, the first goal was a cross by Dowman. It was hit back by Hincapie and touched down by Gyökeres. All substitutes who'd come on the game. And of course, they've got Dowman who scores the other one as well. You've got such quality to bring in. So it's not a panic when 2 or 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 go missing for a little while or have to be rested for a little while. Is there any other team? Arguably, Man City are just about getting there again after a little bit of a blip, but so far ahead of everyone else. So that's the reason why they're in all these competitions. I don't think it's psychologically going to affect them if they do go out of one, because if they don't win the cup final, or if they do actually go out of Europe, I think they'll cope, because you've got so many other really good things, and the Premier League is probably the big thing that they want to win as much as anything else. So yeah, they'll be disappointed for a week, but hey, everybody wants to be where they are just now. And just another line on Dowman. Honestly, he looks like a generational talent. I love the way Matt said when he just shrugged off that player, I've watched that dummy about 5 times. It's the most brilliant dummy. It's more, and he looks as if he doesn't do anything, because I always study how players get by other players. It's absolutely stunning. So in time he may well overtake my current favourite player in world football, who will be out here playing tonight in front of me. I'm delighted to say. And
just
before
to
you
let
ask,
you
yes,
know,
it's Kvaratskhelia.
Yes, who is a phenomenal player and so exciting, so unpredictable to watch. Talking of unpredictable, I'm not sure we could have seen this one coming. Maz Farouki's been watching Sporting against Bodo Glimt.
Yeah, it's finished 3-3 on aggregate in the 90 in Lisbon. Goals from Gonzalo Inacio, Pedro Gonçalves and Colombian Luis Suarez, that a penalty after a handball in the Bodo area, have given the Portuguese side a 3-0 lead on the night in this last 16 tie. So as the rain falls in Portugal, we are level at 3-3 on aggregate, and therefore on to extra time we go in this one.
Maz, looking forward to hearing more updates from you on that game. Remember the 8 o'clock kickoffs tonight. Manchester City against Real Madrid, Arsenal against Bayer Leverkusen, Chelsea against Paris Saint-Germain. Leon Osman, Matt Hupson and Pat Nevin are with us to look ahead to those three. We were talking about Arsenal, Leon, and about, Pat was saying it's all about not panicking, because they have so much that they can rely on. And one of the things that they've been able to rely on is their consistency defensively, how solid they've been this season. They did concede a goal from a corner last week, but that's the first goal they've conceded from 23 corners in the Champions League this season.
Yeah, but they finally conceded. You're making it sound a lot easier than I'm sure it is, because the stats tell a good story, which, you know, we're all buying into. I said it before, it's what Arsenal are kind of built on. Back to the old days of 1-0 to the Arsenal. Mikel Arteta's bought into that, and they are very good. And because they're so good, we now look at their stats and are kind of surprised when they actually do concede. And I think the real good thing about what Arsenal have done is we were convinced that they had to have, was it Ben White and Saliba and Gabriel, and I'm sure whether it was Calafiori or someone else, that was their solid left back, their solid back four, and especially if either of those two centre halves were out, that was it. Arsenal were in trouble, and yet they've managed to find people, to bring people in that are actually Mascara and Hincapie, even Timber being fit this season. They've now actually got a back 8 that we're now not all But no, Arsenal fans aren't saying, well, it has to be Saliba and Gabriel. Yes, that's their two best centre halves. Well, they found a way of building that squad, which we touched on before, and going along with what Pat said as well. I think that's why Arsenal are really comfortable at the moment. I think they got to this stage last season when they felt they were in a title race, they were getting to the latter stages of European competition, and I remember we're talking about, have they just tired at the crucial moment? Have injuries hit them at that moment where they can't sustain this? That's certainly not the case this year. They've quietly built up a really strong squad. We all still talk about the very top end of the pitch, but they're in this position and they deserve to be. And yes, it's built on defensive solidity, but it's not just down to that two centre-halves anymore.
But do you not think, Leon, that is the one thing that everyone was talking about Arsenal the last 2 or 3 seasons? As you've mentioned, it was just like an inability to see anything through. And I think that as a player or as a coach, that's quite a slight, isn't it? Like that's a bit of a slight on your character, on your mentality, and I think that's been questioned from Arsenal. But maybe rightly so, in the sense that having leads and maybe not quite seeing it through. So to me, it's gone quite extreme this season. Like I look at the bench today, and I look at you've got 3 left backs involved in you've got Luis Skelly, you've got Calafiori, you've got Hincapié. There's cover everywhere, but that back 4 has just been so solid, and when it's rotated, I love that Hincapié's come in. He's had the opportunity due to injury, and he's grabbed that jersey and got his mind. I'm going to defend, I'm going to run, I'm going to tackle better than anyone else. Now, really, he shouldn't be in that position with the quality that Arsenal have on the bench, but he's earned it. And I think little things like that just bring a little bit more edge to that defensive edge that the team have.
But you'll have been in squads yourself, Pat will, back in his day, where you are being asked questions, you are coming under a bit of pressure, you are expected to go and maintain these results, and it doesn't work for you every single day. You won't be at the top of your game every single day. And last year, say Saka was just having a below par game, then they weren't getting the job done because we all expected those players to perform. Whereas this season, look, as you mentioned, in Leverkusen, it actually wasn't Saka's day, so now they can turn to someone who feels like they should be in the team, who's actually chomping at the bit. It's frustrated they're not getting a game. Every time he turns to the bench, he's got people wanting to come on and make a point, prove a point, and be in the team for the next game. And that is the benefit of building up a squad, having them start really young and have them work through together to actually be part of what they're building.
And that's what they're trying to do. Sorry, Matt, I thought you were going to come in off the back of that. Just to kind of, before we let you go and prepare for the Sports Extra commentary on this one, Pat was making the point earlier on that, look, Arsenal in the hunt for 3 pieces of silverware potentially at the moment, with the League Cup final coming up, the lead in the Premier League, and this opportunity to get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and saying, do you know what? They wouldn't be too devastated if one of those 2 were to go. But to be 1-1 against Bayer Leverkusen and have a home tie, this feels like a big opportunity for them just to keep that consistency in the Champions League season upon season, and to give them another opportunity for a big piece of silverware.
Yeah. Opta don't get it wrong, Kelly, do they? I mean, they are big favourites, and this is it. If they don't go through tonight, it will be a major disappointment. Will it derail them? No, I don't think it will, because we've spoken now for a while on the foundation that this team has, and it's strong, and it's got depth, and it's got, that edge to it now is hard. But the disappointment will be big, because this is the tournament they've been building, going deep last 2 or 3 years, quarterfinals, semis. It's been brilliant for this group of players, and it's given them that edge. So to go out now in this fixture at home, 1-1 against Bayer Leverkusen, would be a massive disappointment. And personally, I don't think it will happen. I think they'll have enough tonight, and I think they'll just get the job done.
So Matthew Upson, part of our commentary team on Sports Extra and BBC Sounds for Arsenal against Bayer Leverkusen. Matt's going to be back with us at half-time, and you can listen to commentary from the Emirates. I think we might be heading back very shortly for a goal in the game between Sporting and Bodo Glimt, which was 3-0 to Bodo Glimt on aggregate from the first leg. Sporting pulled it back to 3-3 all, and there's been a 4th goal on the night Which way's it gone, Maz Faruqi?
Oh, delirium for Sporting and delirium for the fans inside their stadium. Maximiliano Araujo has scored in the second minute of the first 15 minutes of extra time. I think it took a slight deflection. He really put some pace on it. Left-hand corner of the Bodo area. No, he just managed to get a really nice curl on it with his left foot and just dipped it inside the left post beyond the Bodo keeper. So they come from 3-0 down on aggregate to lead this last 16 tie now, Sporting, by 4 goals to 3 on aggregate. 4-0 on the night they lead. Sporting 4, Bodo 0.
Maz, sorry, thank you very much for that. I tell you, there are a couple of Premier League sides who would be very happy to come back from their 3-goal deficits. Manchester City 3-0 down against Real Madrid from the first leg, and Chelsea 5-2 down to Paris Saint-Germain from the first leg as well. Pat Nevin is at Stamford Bridge this evening. Pat, I did mean to ask you earlier on, have you and Chris Cole's done your pre-match huddle yet?
Very good point. We should be doing it at this point in time. We'll probably not do it on the centre circle over the ball, which was just bizarre with the referee. I've not met anyone at all that I've talked to or listened to or in the game at all who's thought anything else other than, what are you doing? What was the point of that? And do you know the biggest point that can happen out of doing that with the referee in the middle? You annoy the referee. That's not a good thing. That is seriously not a good thing. It's a bizarre thing. I hope and expect not to see it tonight, because I mean, huddles, there's nothing wrong with them, but just not with the referee in the middle, really.
Or the referee could have moved out the way, given that he's one person and there's a whole team of players there. I mean, there's 2 ways to fix that solution, but I think probably the bigger point is that there's a lot of noise around Chelsea about anything except what's going on the pitch. It feels as though there are distractions everywhere.
Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. Usually people think it's awful, but sometimes, you know, people are thinking, oh, you've been fined this huge 10 million quid fine, which is basically nothing in the wider scheme of things, with a club that spent £1.5 billion in transfers, right? Then you look at all the kind of negatives that will be written about, and other clubs are complaining about it, and then the problem that Chelsea haven't been very good at home here, and then the players just think, oh, forget that, just go and play. It's a weird thing that if everyone's talking about that, remember Mourinho used to do that deliberately, change the narrative onto something else so that you could forget about, hey, actually there's a problem out there just now. And in Chelsea recently, I mean, the draw here against Burnley was not good when you're trying to get in the Champions League. It was the draw against Leeds United. Obviously they lost against Arsenal, and then they lost against Newcastle there. Now, after what was a very good run when Liam Rossini first came in, they've now got a tougher run now. But they're not on, you know, not absolutely flowing into it because they've lost 5-2, which, by the way, kind of underlined. I thought that performance by Chelsea over in Paris, lost 5-2, I think it was the best performance they've had under Leroy Rossini. I think they played really well. 86 minutes or 87 minutes, they're 3-2, and they're unlucky to be 3-2. So, you know, can I do some clutching at straws just now then, to give every Chelsea fan out there something to hope for? Right. First of all, Chelsea have beaten them 3-0 this season already. Okay, in the World Club Championship, that's one thing. PSG do lose games. They have lost a few games this season. Newcastle got a draw with them. That's something else. Do you know who else scored 3 against PSG this season? Spurs. Now, come on, Chelsea fans, you've got to be hoping that you can do a little bit better. They did lose 5 in that game. I'll grant you that. But so there's little bits of hope out there. But I will admit, they are clutching at straws, and so well.
I know, and we do know that PSG will grow throughout the season, and in a way that clubs in different leagues will do, but Premier League sides have to hit the ground running, because they've got tricky fixtures right from the start of the season. So what we see from the sort of Paris Saint-Germain or Real Madrid in the latter stage of the competition is not necessarily what we see in the league phase. However, as you said, the performance from Chelsea in Paris was a good performance. So what do they need to do tonight? And I know you're saying they're up against it in terms of the scoreline. What can they do this evening?
Well, there were a couple of obvious weaknesses. Certainly on the kind of right back area, where Hakimi went forward, and what happened was totally to my surprise, they've got a player who comes out wide that I didn't expect to come out wide, Marquinhos, to mark up against Pedro. Nowhere near him for pace, absolutely nowhere. So if they do that again tonight, Chelsea have got something to go for. Now, I was talking to a very charming Frenchman downstairs. I bet you can guess who that was.
Julien Laurent?
So, oh, of course. If you say the word Frenchman and charming, you have to put Julien in there as well. So, and he was saying he thinks they'll do that again. I said, well, that's really quite surprising and striking, because, you know, Pedro was causing them all sorts of problems in that first half. And he said he doesn't think the PSG care, because if they lose 2 goals, if they put Hakimi up front to push forward, we'll score 4 or maybe 5, because of he will add to that going forward. Hence why I'm talking right at the start about these 7-6s and 8-7s that you get in these games, because Chelsea have got to go for it tonight. There's no option. They're going to have to fly out the traps. There's no point playing tippy-tappy football. This is a cup tie and you're going out of Europe if you don't go for it. And then you look at Paris Saint-Germain, and it's in their modern DNA to go for it. So I'm not promising you loads of goals, but I'm pretty close to promising you. Definitely an exciting game anyway.
Pat, you've sold me. I'm very much looking forward to this one. It's Chelsea PSG from Stamford Bridge. Chris Coles and Pat Nevin are going to keep us up to date with that one. The commentary on 5 Live is Manchester City against Real Madrid. But as it stands, Manchester City will fail to reach the Champions League quarterfinals for a 2nd year in a row with that 3-goal deficit. I mean, that in a situation, Leon, where we're unsure whether this might be the end of the road for Pep Guardiola at Manchester City come the end of the season, could be hugely significant. That he sort of limps to the end of what's been an extraordinary time at City.
Absolutely, and that really would be a shame, wouldn't it, if this season that hasn't gone too well was to be his last. I personally feel it won't be. I personally feel that they'll be here for another year. I just think when you look back at maybe what Sir Alex did when everyone thought he was about to leave all them years ago.
We told everyone he was going to leave.
He told everyone he was about to leave all them years ago, and the season didn't go as planned. The noisy neighbours, where I am this evening, took the title from them, and it was felt that he needed to stay another season. I just get the feeling that's maybe the attitude that Pep Guardiola will have towards it, unless he was to get through this tie and win the Champions League and go out in a blaze of glory. I think we'll see him for another season, because I think he's building another team. I think this team is progressing into being another team, maybe 1 or 2 parts away, but I think this was a transitional season. I was surprised that they were in a title race, if I'm being completely honest. I thought they would be out of it, and they've done an awful lot better than most people expected. They've got to this stage. They are very capable of going on a bit more, but I think he's setting this team up for next year as much as anything else.
Just in terms of turning this game around tonight, Kelly, I can't remember who it was said to me this week, but they were going back to the semi-final where Liverpool turned it around against Barcelona. So Sporting might do it to Bodo Glimt tonight, but in terms of trying to turn around a 2-legged tie, having been 3 goals behind from the first leg, the last team to do that before tonight were Liverpool against Barcelona. In the first leg, at 3-0 up, Barcelona had it. It was you, Leon. It was you who told me.
You co-commentator.
Well, go on. You tell everyone else. They know Leon was making the point. They had a chance in the first leg at 3-0 up to play someone in basically for an open goal. Might have been Messi to go 4-0 up. Didn't take it. Vinicius' penalty in the first leg of this one, saved by Donnarumma, and John Murray said in the commentary, you never know, do you? Never know in the second leg whether that will come back to bite Real Madrid tonight. So it's all those little sorts of things that the Manchester City fans in here will be clinging on to, I think, Kelly.
And they're right to cling on to it, because they do have the firepower. I'm looking at the light display at Manchester City. They do have the firepower to be able to score enough in order to get the result that they need against Real Madrid. Do you think Pep Guardiola's quite got his front line sorted? He's tried to make 2 up front work. Shirky's been, showing glimpses of being maybe the player that can make it all click for them. What do you think, Leon?
I think he's got the firepower. I think he'd much rather have Erling Haaland coming into this game with 10 goals in 2 games or something, really feeling that kind of
rather
confidence.
Than none in 4.
Rather than 4, yeah, and 4 in his last, what did I read there, 17 games maybe, that it really hasn't got his way, but maybe he's been saving them up, Kelly. Maybe they're all going to burst out of him this evening, and wouldn't that be a story? But yeah, I think think he'll have learned enough. I know that he went to Real Madrid earlier in the season and actually won that game. Maybe that gave him a sense that he could go there and be quite comfortable in the game the other week. But as you pointed out only minutes ago, Real Madrid are a different animal when it gets to the knockout stages than they are in the group stages. Maybe he just misjudged that, but he will have learnt an awful lot from that first leg a week or so ago, and I think he's made the changes to try and accommodate that.
Well, you have a choice of listening here this evening. On Sports Extra, it's uninterrupted commentary of Arsenal against Bayer Leverkusen. That is currently level on aggregate at 1-1. Here on 5 Live, we'll keep you up to date with all the games in the Champions League. And we will have commentary of Manchester City against Real Madrid. Pep Guardiola, talking to TV, said this is the toughest challenge of the last 3 seasons. We have history behind us. We'll try to make more tonight. Kickoff not far away then at the Etihad, and taking you through that game with the score from the first leg: Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 3, Leon Osman and Alistair Bruce Ball.
Thank you, Kelly. So Pep Guardiola says the toughest challenge of the last 3 seasons. I've been doing a lot of nerdy stat work as a commentator in the last couple of days. 104 games in the Champions League under Pep Guardiola. This the 105th. I would wager this is probably the toughest test they've ever faced in this competition in that time. And the reason I say that is Real Madrid in their history have won the first leg of a European knockout tie by 3 or more goals 36 times. On the previous 35 occasions, they've never been knocked out. Manchester City tonight have got to try and do something to Real Madrid that has never happened to them before in the history of European football. But then, Leon, you know, you can look at the stats any which way. Real Madrid came to Arsenal last season. Now, I know Arsenal, you know, different team playing extremely well at the time, and they lost, you know, 3 goals to 0. That's what Manchester City need tonight. 3-goal win, take us into extra time. If they get the first goal tonight,
they know what they've got to do. That's the benefit. And the moment you step out across the white line, history just becomes irrelevant near enough. You go out there and you just know what you've got to do this evening. You're not thinking about the other 35 occasions that Real Madrid have been in this situation. You're just looking at the team across from you, the 11 players that you've got to beat. You've worked probably since the last time. Yes, there was a Premier League game in between, but you've worked all week on how you're going to go about that. What are the changes? How are you going to attack the opposition? And now it's time to put that game plan into operation.
Disappointingly for the purists, Real Madrid all in black this evening, change kit with sort of, I would say the numbers are sort of light grey on the back, light grey trim. Manchester City in the light blue shirts, a white diagonal slash across the front of those. The 2 captains, Bernardo Silva and Federico Valverde, have already shaken hands. The teams swap ends, and so Manchester City start this second leg of the last 16 tie, 3-0 down from the first leg. That man Valverde, I mean, 3 sensational goals, Leon. In terms of Manchester City trying to play the perfect game tonight, that's pretty much what Real Madrid did last week. I watched those goals back again this morning, particularly that third one, that touch that flicks it over Gay's head and then he volleys it home. You could try that 1,000 times and it wouldn't come off again.
He is such a good player that is probably so much underrated because of the quality that is around him. He is a Swiss Army knife of a football player. He can play absolutely anywhere and be a 10 out of 10 in doing so, to Manchester City's cost last week.
He is a Uruguayan Swiss Army knife. A quick update from League One. The leaders Lincoln away at Huddersfield. There's been a goal, Adam Cottier.
And they're losing Lincoln. Huddersfield 1, Lincoln 0. Ryan Hardy with neat footwork in the penalty area and a low right foot finish. Huddersfield 1, Lincoln 0.
Right, we are underway at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 3-0 down against Real Madrid, the kings of Europe, the 15 times winners of the European Cup. And Manchester City have kicked us off. They've attacked down the right-hand side, and Bernardo Silva has knocked the ball out of play. 4 changes made by Pep Guardiola tonight. To remind you of those, Mark Gahey, Nico O'Reilly, Savinho and Antoine Semenyo have been dropped to the bench. Mateus Nunes comes in, so does Ryan Ait-Nouri, Tijani Reinders and Ryan Shirky. Donnarumma in goal, Nunes, Husanov, Diaz, Ait-Nouri the back 4, Rodri in front of them, Reinders, Silva, Shirky, Doku and Erling Haaland, of course, as the centre forward. Real Madrid have won the ball, and Arda Güler goes on a run. Vinicius Junior whips a ball, and Valverde is there and tries a first-time finish. And goodness me, we've not even played a minute, and Valverde was staring into the whites of Donnarumma's eyes. Didn't quite get enough on the shot. Donnarumma made the save.
Wow, that was nearly a complete replay. I think it was his first goal, maybe the second goal, beg your pardon, where someone tried to play a through ball. It was Vinicius Junior tried to play a through ball. It was probably going to be overhit, and a City defender stuck his foot out and just took all the weight off it, and it fell into the path of Valverde. And in that situation, you just thought it's about to happen again, but really tame effort from him, and comfortable save from Donnarumma, but a warning for Man City.
Arsenal Leverkusen have kicked off. That is in full-on Sports Extra. Chelsea against Paris Saint-Germain. We'll have updates of that. They're in extra time. Sporting against Buda Glimt. Maz Faruqi.
Time in extra time, and Sporting lead Bodo 4-0 on the night after that lovely left-footed strike from Maximiliano Orojo in the second minute of additional time. And to be honest, Bodo look beaten, Ali. They've offered very little going forward, but they need to find something to stay in Europe. Sporting 4, Bodo 3, with 15 minutes of extra time to come.
Winners of that one will face Arsenal or Leverkusen in the quarter-final. Manchester City attacking. First chance of the night. Cherki shoots. Courtois makes the save straight at the keeper. It was hit well. Courtois didn't know too much about it, but stood his ground and just stuck a big left paw out and made the block. But that has given the home fans some encouragement.
Oh, big chance, really big chance for Manchester City. Positive play from both wide areas from Manchester City. First of all, Cherki himself getting into a position, put such an early cross in, and actually City were 2v2 in the middle of the pitch. Doku up against Trent Alexander-Arnold and Rudiger and Haaland, and Rudiger was going absolutely berserk for that ball, allowing to come in 2v2. Then Doku picked it up on the far side, ran in the middle, picked out Cherki, got past one player, but probably 14 yards out. Goalkeeper makes a good save. Brilliant, good reaction from Man City after that early chance conceded.
Big Champions League night on 5 Live, BBC Sounds, Radio 5 Sports Extra. Game in the Championship tonight. There's been a goal at Vicarage Road. Charlie Slater.
Watford 1, Wrexham 0, 18 minutes gone. Brilliant counter-attack. Shakfatadze leads it for Bowler, who hits it from the edge of the box, deflects past the keeper. 1-0 Watford.
Manchester City with all the possession at the moment. Real Madrid with their 3-0 lead, quite happy to play on the break. They've already looked dangerous so far, but Manchester City have the ball inside the Real Madrid half. I'll fill you in on other goals going in the EFL at the moment when we get our next break in play. Also need to describe Pep Guardiola's outfit to you this evening. That's a nice ball into the penalty area, and Rodri hits this one with full steam with his right foot. Courtois makes the save at the near post. 2 saves in the first 3 minutes. Manchester City have got a corner.
Yeah, forward runs from deep. Reinders has already made one. This is Rodri getting past the forwards, getting into the penalty area. So much harder to defend in them situations. Run from deep. Good touch from Rodri. Hits it really well, but the angle was against him. Goalkeeper made a good save.
Palms have been stung by Cherki and Rodri. Here comes the corner. An away swinger. Through the penalty area it goes. Ait Nouri is there for Manchester City. Passes the ball back towards the halfway line, played forward by Nunes. Wide it comes to Doku. Alexander-Arnold moves in quickly. Doku backheels his way out of trouble. Now he's got 2 men in front of him, teases them both. Little step over, heading for the byline here, gets another toe on the ball to make it awkward. It eventually comes back to Thibaut Courtois, who picks the ball up and just slows things down for Real Madrid. Leyton Orient 1 up away to Wimbledon in League One. Peterborough lead Rotherham by a goal to 0. And as we said, Watford 1, Wrexham 0. Ball back in play. Courtois decked out all in bright green, clears with his left foot upfield. The ball falls into Manchester City possession. Courtois in goal for Real Madrid. Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. Fran Garcia at left back. Rudiger and Howson, the 2 centre-backs. Valverde, Pitarch and Tchouameni. Güler, Diaz and Vinicius Junior. Manchester City with Husinov knocking it around very confidently, being encouraged to attack here down the inside right channel. Cherki has made good ground. Cross comes in. Reinders with the chance. The shot's deflected. That's a 3rd shot on goal. He didn't make proper contact with that. Alexander-Arnold's managed to clear the ball away to the halfway line. And Manchester City very quickly win it back, and it is relentless in the first 5 minutes of the first half.
What a block from Howson that was. So important as well. Again, City wide man picking the ball up, being positive. Cherki in particular just getting at Fran Garcia, cut inside him so easy, picked out his teammate right in the middle of the goal, probably 12 yards out. You just thought it opened up for a moment, but good defender. But you're right, City are not only playing with purpose and playing with possession, they're actually trying to penetrate really well.
Ball chipped into that Real Madrid penalty area, headed back across goal. Howson is there. Referee spotted a foul by Nunes as he climbed to win the header. That'll be a free kick for Real Madrid inside their own penalty area. Another goal at Huddersfield. This is Huddersfield-Lincoln in League One. Adam Cottier.
Huddersfield 2, Lincoln 0. Now Ryan Ledson firing in a loose ball in the penalty area. Lincoln have only lost 5 games this season. They're 2-0 down.
First Champions League goal of the night in the 8 o'clock kickoffs has come at Stamford Bridge. This really needs to go Chelsea's way from their point of view, Chris Coles.
And it hasn't. It's the worst possible start for Chelsea, because the man who did so much damage in Paris has scored after 6 minutes at Stamford Bridge. Kavica Kvaratskhelia has made it Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain 1. Another Chelsea mistake at the back, and Kvaratskhelia in on goal fires into the corner to give Paris Saint-Germain a 6-2 aggregate lead. And Pat Nevin, that is the last thing Chelsea needed.
Yeah, they had to go and try and be brave, but it looks as if it's foolhardy just now. I said before the game, Chelsea might try a back three, but they're leaving man against man there. Don't do that against Kvaratskhelia. They did so. Sarr caught himself there at right back position, 1-on-1 with Kvaratskhelia. Oh dear, no surprise what the outcome would be.
And a big pin has been put in the Stamford Bridge balloon. It's deflated here. Chelsea 0, PSG 1, 6-2 Paris Saint-Germain on aggregate.
Winners of that tie in the quarter-finals will face Liverpool or Galatasaray. Commentary live from Anfield at 8 o'clock on 5 Live tomorrow night. We've got full commentary of Barcelona-Newcastle, which kicks off at 5:45. In League One, Mansfield 1 up away to Bradford. Salford lead Barrow by a goal to nil in League Two. Also in League Two, Chesterfield 0, Oldham 1. The jeers, booing and whistles for the Real Madrid restarts. Manchester City fans encouraging the visitors to get on with it. So, Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 0. That is still 3-0 on aggregate to the Spanish side. After this next attack, we'll take you to the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal against Leverkusen. Skills from Cherki. Goes down inside the penalty area. The ball had already gone away from him. The referee, Clement Turpin, very experienced Champions League referee, is not interested in that. Real Madrid start knocking it around inside their own half. Cherki is still down. Diagonal ball comes across field. Lands on the chest of Trent Alexander-Arnold, who very casually brings it under control. Passes it forward to Pitarch down the right. Goes for a ball through the middle. Loose pass from the England international, intercepted by Mateus Nunes. He spins inside his own half and tries to set Manchester City on the attack. John Southall watching Arsenal Leverkusen.
Leverkusen 0, first chance for Arsenal of the game. Corner on the right-hand side, the old routine. There was Gabriel at the near post, just came off his shoulder and wide of the right-hand post. Arsenal 0, Leverkusen 0, 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1 on aggregate, that one. Chelsea now 6-2 down on aggregate, and Manchester City really needing the first goal. They've made exactly the start, Leon Osman, they would have wanted to make, that Pep Guardiola would have demanded they make.
Yeah, in tempo and how they're playing, it's very nearly perfect. If they'd have got an early goal, which they may actually deserve at this point. They're playing really well, particularly in possession. Yeah, out possession, they're getting back and defending quickly. Pep Guardiola was shouting on for Cherki to get up and get back when Real Madrid were on the counter-attack. Then he knows the importance of what Manchester City are doing at both ends of the pitch. But yeah, they've started really well. 9
minutes gone in the first half at the Etihad. 0-0. Here's Ait Nouri onto the ball for Manchester City, still in attacking position, fires it out low to Doku, number 11 on the back of his light blue shirt. Quick 1-2 with Ruben Dias, and now Doku faced up by a couple of defenders, not bothered, slides the pass into Rodri, across it comes here, Cherki shoots over the bar. Fourth shot of the game for Manchester City. That took a deflection on the way through. That has gone behind for a corner. And Pep Guardiola, I've already given it a mention, I'd say very much sort of casual country, gently on this evening.
Yeah.
It's
can
greens.
Can you say dark shirt lumberjack?
Exactly.
Can you say that kind of?
Yeah. Check shirt, quite baggy, greens and browns. I think that's a sort of like a dark red brogue he's got as well, with a sort of dark green trouser. It's
just freshening it up, isn't he?
Nifty, isn't it?
Yeah, his team have been fresh. They really have. Forced another corner now. Good play, getting forward, getting in between the lines.
Here's the corner, comes in from the right-hand side. Haaland goes for it, leaps in the air, tries to shoot with his left foot first time. Sort of rather hopefully appeals for a handball. Those claims are waved away. 10 minutes played in the first half. Still 0-0 here. Chelsea 1-0 down against Paris Saint-Germain. Cherki's ball into the penalty area is headed away. Vinicius chests it down, flicks the ball over his left shoulder. Manchester City hungry for this. They've won the loose ball. Ait Nouri holding off Brahim Diaz. who's trying to stick to his task. Rodri slips, Brahim Diaz nips in, and this is where Real Madrid will be very dangerous. Diaz has Vinicius to his left-hand side, feeds Vinicius, tries to use the pace to get outside Nunes. Nunes too clever for that, gets to the ball first, holds off the Real Madrid winger and plays it out calmly into the right-back position, and Manchester City can start to build.
Excellent defending from Mateus Nunes, 1v1 with Vinicius Junior, and just didn't give him a moment. And City were in trouble there nearly through a mistake of their own. Nori and Rodri just getting in each other's way, both trying to take the ball away, and Real Madrid broke. And those are the incidents that Real Madrid will be looking for. Yes, they'll have spells where they take possession, but they're very dangerous on the counter-attack. Nunes defended that one well.
2 more goals to tell you about in League One. Burton 1, Reading 0. Luton 1, Exeter 1. The leaders Lincoln tonight 2-0 down away to Huddersfield. And this is Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 0, with Real Madrid passing back into their own penalty area. Howson to Courtois, rushed into a pass out from the back by Haaland. Up the left-hand touchline it goes. Valverde is under pressure. Back to Howson again. Scoops a clearance to the halfway line. Diaz nods it down for Manchester City. Quickly played out to the left-hand side. Real Madrid try to build an attack down there, but Mateus Nunes intercepts. He's clipped on the halfway line, and that'll be a free kick for Manchester City. 0-0. Manchester City want to go quickly. Real Madrid player over there needs to do his shoelaces up, which has held Manchester City up. And it's young Thiago Pitach who apologises there to all concerned. Manchester City underway again. Here's Rodri. Left-footed pass, floats it out towards the right wing. Nunes just rolls a short one to the skipper Bernardo Silva. 3 years ago, when Manchester City won the second leg of that semi-final against Real Madrid by 4-0, Bernardo Silva scored twice. Rodri shoots, fizzing wide of the target, and behind it goes for the goal kick. But all Manchester City so far, but with the odd snippet of threat from Real Madrid.
Yeah, we're seeing exactly how the game is probably going to play out, with Manchester City pushing and pushing more, leaving gaps at the back. Real Madrid trying to take advantage of it. And I do think that there is a case for what Rodri just had, a shot from 25 yards. Yes, there are moments where you have to have that shot because you have to encourage the opposition's defence to step out and make blocks. But we all know it's going to be something special to beat Courtois from there.
Manchester City with possession again in the centre circle. Rodri sweeps it forward to Reinders. Not seen too much of him so far, but as Leon said in the build-up to the match, is a threat running forward from midfield. Ruben Diaz receives the ball 10 yards inside the Real Madrid half. Aït-Nouri tries to take it on the turn. Alexander-Arnold steps in, wins it for Real Madrid. Pitach gets away down the right, passes into the centre of the pitch. Well read there by Husanov, prevented that from getting to Vinicius, and Rodri comes running up towards the halfway line. Lays it off here to Mateus Nunes at jogging pace. Brings it midway into the Real Madrid half, goes wide to his right to Silva. Cherki takes the ball on the turn, immediately into the Real Madrid penalty area. Stops it under the studs of his left boot, scoops it to the far post, over the head of Haaland, and that will drift behind for a goal kick to Real Madrid. Goals going in at Huddersfield tonight in League One. Adam Cottier.
The League One leaders Lincoln have a goal back, an own goal by Huddersfield's Josh Feeney, a near post header. It's Huddersfield 2, Lincoln 1.
Luton Town have a second against Exeter in League One. Luton 2, Exeter 1. Another goal at Stamford Bridge, Chris Coles.
And if the tie wasn't over already, it definitely is now. Paris Saint-Germain have a second. Bradley Barkla has scored imperiously. Another great move down the right. It breaks to Barkla on the edge of the area, fires into the top corner. Paris Saint-Germain 2-0 up and 7-2 on aggregate, Pat. That's surely game over.
Absolutely incredible naivety from Chelsea in the back line, and you could almost argue in the set-up as well. This game was over. It is definitely over now.
Chelsea 0, PSG 2, 7-2 the holders on aggregate.
Yeah, I think I've heard that phrase somewhere before. They think it's all over, Leon. It is now. 2-0 down on the night. Chelsea 7-2 down on aggregate. What about events at the Emirates Stadium? Arsenal, Leverkusen, John Southall.
Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0, but a couple of chances for Leandro Trossard. The first, he dragged it wide of the right post. The second, 18 yards out, tipped over the crossbar. Arsenal have a corner down on the right-hand side. Arsenal 0, Leverkusen 0.
15 minutes in at the Etihad Stadium. This is Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 0. Leon Osman watching this one on 5 Live. You can also get us on BBC Sounds. Arsenal Leverkusen over on Sports Extra. Sporting Looked like it's going to be a dramatic turnaround for them. 4-0 up on the night against Buda Glimt, 3-0 down from the first leg. That would take Sporting through to a quarter-final against Arsenal or Leverkusen if they go on to win the game. Manchester City hunting the ball back inside the Real Madrid half. Howson, the 20-year-old, signed from Bournemouth in the summer, passes out to Fran Garcia. Back to Howson again. Reinders closes him down. Real Madrid have worked that well. Tchouaméni back to Courtois. Haaland picks up the chase for Manchester City, goes thundering across the 6-yard box, left and right. Can't get anywhere near the ball, and Howson calmly plays it up the left-hand side. And now it's worked infield to Valverde, a hat-trick hero of the first leg. Clever pass to his left, Vinicius speeding forward, danger for Manchester City. Vinicius onto the right foot, hits it hard, back off the post, off Donnarumma's back. And it's still in play down by the byline on the left-hand side. Scoop to the far post. Vinicius controls it, hits the shot with the left foot, appeals for a handball, and it's given as a corner, but then the offside flag goes up. And so Manchester City can breathe a sigh of relief. Off the post, onto Donnarumma's back, but not into the back of the City net.
Wow, that was nearly the tie. I mean, the frame of the goal kept that one out. Brilliant attack from Real Madrid. Literally, must have been 40 to 50 passes back to front. Manchester City were honest, they were getting after them, but Ryan Cherki in possession has started brilliantly. Out of possession, just doesn't quite do the job that Pep needs him to, and because of that, Real Madrid really did play through the lines brilliantly, as I say, back to front. Ended up with a Vinicius Junior shot, which actually came off the goal frame. I'm not sure he was offside, so I'm not actually sure what we're waiting for here, because there was a potential penalty kick at the end of that. We've not started the game, and it would be a penalty kick. It's definitely Bernardo Silva's left elbow. So if this is onside, Manchester City could be in trouble here.
Okay, let's wait and see. No, they're okay. Referee says check is over, and we're going to restart the game, it seems here. Bernardo Silva has the ball in the right-back position, or is the referee still saying, hold on? I thought Bernardo Silva was about to get us back underway.
Yeah, it depends which offside they're looking at. Because there was an offside really early. And I think it was when Vinicius picked the ball up, probably 10 yards inside Manchester City's half. If that's the offside, then yes, I haven't seen that one back, but come on, after it certainly didn't look offside, as I think it was Arda Güler went on to the end of that chance to hit the post.
Yeah, at the moment, well, so far...
We've seen it again now.
Yeah, we've only had the images of Bernardo Silva leaning towards that Vinicius shot by the left-hand post and blocking it with his left elbow. We've not had the images of the offside calls. Referee Clement Turpin has blown his whistle again. He's in conversation with Bernardo Silva. Pep Guardiola is slumped back in his seat just in front of us. Long delay in the game here. Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 0, but it's absolutely crucial with Real Madrid 3-0 up from the first leg. Missed a penalty in that first leg, of course, as well. And finally, it comes up on our little screen here in our commentary position. VAR potential penalty check. Leon Osman have worked that out quite a while ago, but this is taking a while.
Yeah, well, look, with regards to the effort on goal, in my opinion, it's handball. Sticks his left elbow out further than it needs to be. The ball was going towards the goal.
Okay.
Just whether it was onside or not.
Referee Clement Turpin is now coming over to the screen to have a look at this. But what's he having a look at? The handball? I mean, we know it's a handball. Well, I suppose he didn't see that.
What must have happened is they went through all of the checks. It was thought the assistant put his flag up for offside. They must have just been working their way back through all of these checks to see whether it was onside. And now they have checked that the game was to carry on. Then a penalty kick will more than likely be given.
Penalty for Real Madrid. Real trouble for Manchester City. It's a red card for the captain, Bernardo Silva. Deliberate handball on the line, blocking the shot, which from the angle, it might have crept in at the near post, it might not have. But that is a disaster for Manchester City. 3-0 down, surely with 10 men. Mission improbable has now become mission impossible. And Gianluigi Donnarumma has got to try and pull off the magic again. He denied Vinicius from the penalty spot in the first leg. He has to do it again here. And then somehow, Manchester City with 10 men are going to have to try and produce the comeback of all comebacks to turn this tie round against Real Madrid.
In the Premier League, I still don't think you get away with that. He's claiming that his arms were behind his back. and his hands were probably holding together behind his back, but he definitely stuck his left elbow out to stop the ball going into the goal. In European football, that is 100% being given, and there's also no surprise with the red card.
Highlights.
And it's a shame because Manchester City had started the game really positively.
Champions League match of the day tomorrow night. You can check it out for yourselves, but Leon's described it perfectly. Leaning towards the ball with his left elbow, hands tucked behind his back, but it's such a lean and it's such an obvious block. I don't think they could come to any other decision. Manchester City hoping the offside calls might save them. They didn't. Flag went up for offside initially, but checked by VAR. Right, Donnarumma against Vinicius. Here's Vinicius, he buries the penalty. 1-0 on the night to Real Madrid, 4-0 on aggregate. Manchester City down to 10 men. Surely the Champions League dream is over for Manchester City for another season.
Well, they've certainly got a mountain to climb. And given that he missed a penalty in the first tie at the Bernabeu, there was no chance he was going to let this one slip through his fingers. Donnarumma actually goes the wrong way this time, went the right way last time, made the save. He dives to his right on this occasion. Vinicius goes to the goalkeeper's left, opens his foot up, just passes it in, bottom corner, just inside the goalpost. Brilliantly executed penalty kick.
Well, the noise you can hear in the background, you'll often hear on Champions League nights featuring Spanish teams, which isn't pleasing some of the Manchester City fans in front of us because they're very close to the broadcast desk here. The Spanish radio commentator going great guns after the Real Madrid goal. Another goal now in the game between Sporting and Buda Glimt in extra time. That's Faruqi.
And that is that Sporting scoring a second in extra time. They are going to win this match 5-0 on the night, 5-3 on aggregate. Rafael now scoring their fifth to wild celebrations, dejected faces all round on the Bodo bench. So it's 5-3 on aggregate to Sporting now.
Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 1. Vinicius Junior from the penalty spot. Oh, that's a nice ball through to Doku. Here's the cutback, Haaland. Oh, what a save from Courtois. Just not going to be for Manchester City in this tie. Haaland got into the right position, got good contact on the ball, and now comes here real trouble for Manchester City. Vinicius on the run, ball at his right foot, he's hit it over the bar. Well, this is going to be end-to-end from here on in. Manchester City have got to go for it. 4-0 down on aggregate in the tie, but they're going to chase it. They're down to 10. That is going to open up for Real Madrid. So I think we're going to have some fun, not for Manchester City fans, but certainly in terms of the action in front of us here. A goal in the Championship, Watford against Wrexham, Charlie Slater.
No fun for Wrexham fans either. It's Watford 2, Wrexham 0. Edo Kayembe, edge of the box, buries it in the bottom corner of the net. 2-0 to Watford.
Right, other goals in the EFL. Oldham 2-0 up at Chesterfield now. Notts County have scored a second. They're 2-0 up at Accrington Stanley. Aït-Nouri dribbling forward, looking for Doku. Alexander-Arnold makes the block. Aït-Nouri's down, wants a penalty for that. Manchester City players appeal, so do the fans. Nothing given. Rodri blocks the pass forward from Valverde. That will go out for a Real Madrid throw. Burton 1, Reading 1. Reading have equalised in League One. And yellow card, Leon Osman 4.
Pep Guardiola.
Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, he showed real frustration. Referee not giving that free kick to Aït-Nouri, who skipped by Trent Alexander-Arnold brilliantly, like he wasn't even there. And once he got inside, I haven't seen it back, whether there was contact. Yeah, just showing it back. Rudiger, it's definite contact. It's definitely a free kick. It's probably 2 or 3 yards outside the penalty area on a slight angle outside the D. And the referee's only 3 or 4 yards away and doesn't give that one to Manchester City either. I can understand his frustration in that.
Yeah, frustration from the Manchester City players, the fans, the manager who's now picked up the yellow card, that real sense of injustice. I don't think they can have any real complaints, though, about the handball decision against Bernardo Silva and the red card. Harrogate Town 3-0 up away to Tranmere Rovers in League 2. AFC Wimbledon have equalised against Leyton Orient. That is 1-1. Peterborough now lead Rotherham by 2-0. Chelsea 2-0 down at home to Paris Saint-Germain, and Sporting going through. What a win for them tonight. 3-0 down from the first leg against Buda Glimt. Running through the middle here. Chance for Fran Garcia. The left-back sliding challenge on him is a really good one by Husanov. Had to get that right in the penalty area. Otherwise, Manchester City could have been down to 9 men. 1-0 down on the night, trailing 4-0 on aggregate. And it looks like they're going out of the Champions League at the hands of Real Madrid for the 3rd consecutive season. They are going to give it a right good go, though, fueled by this sense of injustice. Doku, trying to dribble infield, has lost the ball here to Brahim Diaz, who's back deep inside his own half, wrestling with Ait Nouri. Manchester City have showed the desire to win that. Doku through to Haaland, goes for power. Courtois saves with his legs. Cherki shoots and misses the top corner. How many times, how many shots, how many efforts? It will not go in. It was Rodri's strike with his right foot.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, they are coming up against arguably the best goalkeeper in the world, and he has shown it so far over both of these two ties. That's another save from the feet of Erling Haaland. Yes, the angle's against him this time, but he palms it into the centre of the goal. Rodri running onto it. It's just slightly behind him. He just can't quite wrap his foot around it to keep it within the width of the goal frame. But that is another brilliant save from Courtois. He made one about 4 or 5 minutes ago that we thought Erling Haaland could only score. Absolutely magnificent save yet again.
One of the great stories of this season's Champions League is over. Buda Glimt have been beaten. Full-time whistle has blown in Portugal. Sporting have beaten them 5-0 on the night after extra time. 3-0 after the 90 minutes, took it into extra time, and they've won 5-0. They are the first team through to the Champions League quarter-finals. They will meet the winners of Arsenal Leverkusen. We'll take you to the Emirates Stadium in just a second for an update. Commentary on that game continues over on Sports Extra. Trouble again for Manchester City. Here's Goulet. Goulet slides across in. Vinicius nearly there, and it was very nearly an own goal too. Reinders came back to make the challenge. I thought he'd knocked it past his own post. No, Vinicius got the touch. He is shot wide. That is a goal kick for Manchester City. What's happening at the Emirates? John Southall.
Well, it's still Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Arsenal have a corner on the right-hand side. They are creating chances. Gabriel, the header over from 5 yards out. Expect him to score those. Rice whipped in a free kick saved by the keeper Blažević, and Saka into the areas. The corner comes in, headed away. Referee's whistle blows. That'll be a free kick for Leverkusen, but Saka into the area, saved again by the keeper. Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0.
Could be another tight one for Arsenal tonight. 1-1 on aggregate. Leverkusen very impressive in the first leg. Real Madrid 1-0 up here, up against 10-man Manchester City. Surely Real Madrid will see this through. Here's Cherki. Cherki has Pitarch in front of him. 1-2 with Ait Nouri, then goes sprinting away into the middle of the Real Madrid half in front of the penalty area. Passes to his right to Mateus Nunes. A little bit of dancing off the ball from him to try and shake his marker. Cherki across here to Ruben Diaz, then forward to Reinders. Wide it comes to Doku. Real Madrid holding their defensive shape. Doku just trots towards Alexander-Arnold, who just has a little look in his eyes. Like a couple of gunslingers there looking at each other over the ball, and Doku this time decides to play back into midfield. Rodri to Reinders, 25 yards out, goes for the low pass into the box. That is blocked and rolls away to the halfway line. A red card in the game between Cardiff and Wickham in League One, I'm hearing. Molly Stevens.
Yeah, Cardiff will have to play the second half with 10. Gabriel O'Shaw for a reckless challenge on Wickham's Ewan Henderson, and it's 0-0 in this one.
Just having a look at the stopwatch here. Coming up to half an hour played. Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 1. Manchester City trailing by 4-0 on aggregate against one of the very best teams in world football. So you can sort of hear what it's done to the atmosphere inside the stadium. But when Manchester City get forward, they will roar their team on, see if they can get themselves a goal. Ait Nouri plays it back to Diaz. Infield to Rodri, misplaced pass. Real Madrid try and come on the counter. They've given the ball away. Ait Nouri holds onto it wide on the left, gets away from the 18-year-old Pitarch, continues the dribble, tries to beat Valverde. He makes the block. It goes behind for the corner to Manchester City. Back to the Emirates, John Southall.
Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0. You just sense it's coming now. Saka to Trossard on the right. Great save by Blažević with his right boot to put it behind for a corner. From the corner, Ezza's shot were blocked. Arsenal are pushing for this goal. It's 0-0, 1-1 on aggregate.
Wigan 1 up at Barnsley in League One. Manchester City corner will be taken by Reinders from the left. The tall Dutchman curls it in towards the far post, easily caught by Courtois. Groan of exasperation from the former Everton midfielder Leon Osman.
Yeah, when you're down to 10 men, you need either what Ait Nouri did moments ago, which was a bit of individual quality and a bit of individual sort of desire to go and get at someone. He got at two people, got past both of them and forced a corner for his team. But what you can't do is just float that corner into the arms of Courtois. Yes, you have things in your mind before the game starts, but you also have to know that there was a man on the goalkeeper that's no longer there anymore because he's been sent off in Bernardo Silva. So you have to think of something else they didn't do there.
Haaland on the charge from Manchester City. He's given the ball away. Alexander-Arnold curls a pass forward. Vinicius is interested, well covered by Núñez, who passes back to the giant Manchester City goalkeeper, Donnarumma. Decked out all in pink away to our right-hand side. Couldn't save the Vinicius penalty tonight. Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 1. Bernardo Silva sent off for blocking the Vinicius shot with his elbow. So City down to 10 men and looking like they're going out of the Champions League in the last 16. Same for Chelsea, 2-0 down at home against Paris Saint-Germain. That is 7-2 down on aggregate. Newcastle-Barcelona, full commentary tomorrow. Kicks off at 5:45 UK time. That game starts 1-1. Full commentary on 5 Live of Liverpool Galatasaray. Liverpool will start a goal behind. Updates on Spurs Atletico. Spurs at home, but trail by 5-2. Pass comes back here to Reinders. Good 50 yards from goal on the right. Shirky fancies a dribble, moves infield, pacey pass forward. Reinders can't control it, and through it goes and behind for the goal kick. And of course, I mean, we're definitely expecting Manchester City to go out of the Champions League tonight, Leon. Sunday, big game, 5 Live, 4:30, League Cup final at Wembley against Arsenal. First domestic silverware of the season up for grabs.
Yeah, well, you felt that this evening was important, and certainly the discipline of this evening to make sure you play with 11 men and you hope you get through, but it doesn't go to extra time. But all these players are going to play the majority of this game with 10 men, as you say, which is not ideal preparation for a cup final.
No, we're going to keep John Southall busy at Arsenal this evening. Come back in, John.
Oh, it's a good game this, Ali. It's still Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0, but another Arsenal chance again from a corner. You won't be surprised to hear Saka took it on the right. Trossard's shot was saved by the keeper. An almighty scramble in the area, and Blasic eventually grabbed it. Now at the other end, Bayer Leverkusen have a corner. It's Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0.
Wimbledon 2, Leyton Orient 1 in League One. Taking you to Huddersfield shortly. Real Madrid attacking again down the left-hand side. Garcia is chased by Núñez here. That's gone behind for the goal kick. Huddersfield Lincoln, half-time in League One. Adam Cottier.
Playoff chasing Huddersfield, leading by 2-1, but Josh Feeney's own goal has given Lincoln a way back into this. A near-post header following a long throw. Right foot finishes from Ryan Hardy, and Ryan Ledson had Huddersfield 2-0 ahead, but the 20-match unbeaten run that Lincoln are on is under some duress here. 2-1 down.
And half-time at Cardiff 2, Molly Stevens.
Cardiff 0, Wickham 0. Cardiff have had the better of it in the first half. 9 shots, just the one on target though. A Ruben Colwill deflected shot saved by the keeper. For the visitors, 3 shots, also 1 on target. A major twist though before the break. Gabriel Osho shown a red card for a reckless challenge on Ewan Henderson. A golden opportunity tonight for Cardiff to close the gap on leaders Lincoln, who, as we've heard, are losing 0-0.
12 minutes left in the first half here at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 1-0 down, 4-0 down on aggregate against Real Madrid, who they faced in the knockout stages of the Champions League for the last 5 seasons running. And it looks like it's going to be 4 defeats in 5. Diaz with the defending this time for Manchester City as Valverde was on the charge. Diaz hooks it away and it goes out for a throw-in to Real Madrid attacking position on the left-hand side. But I mean, it was already so nicely in Real Madrid's hands. I mean, even more so now.
Yeah, and you know, Real Madrid have been in these situations before. They're just very good at controlling games, not always with possession. I think they're very much 4-4-2 out of possession at the moment, Real Madrid. They were in the first leg and it suited them. I think they just look organised. They can get forward. You've got Valverde who can play off the right, but he makes some brilliant runs, which allows Vinicius to play deep. And if you give Real Madrid an extra man, you just make it near impossible.
Winners of this tie will face Bayern Munich or Atalanta in the quarter-final. Bayern won the first leg by 6-1, so very likely to be Bayern Munich. Floated pass out to the right, finds Trent Alexander-Arnold. A few boos and whistles for him, but Real Madrid very comfortably keeping the ball at the moment inside the Manchester City half. Chouameni prods one forward, gets it back, hits the shot, and Donnarumma gets down and makes the save. Watford-Wrexham we are following in the Championship tonight. Charlie Slater.
Watford 2, Wrexham 0, all clicking for Watford. 2 excellent goals, the first from Bowler, the second from Kayembe. Wrexham yet to have a single attempt. They trail 2-0 at the break.
Luton 3, Exeter 1 in League One, latest score. Manchester City with Rodri in the centre circle at walking pace. All the Real Madrid outfield players behind the ball, chipped out to Doku, controls it on the instep of his right boot. Aït-Nouri's making the run on the outside. Doku thinks about going it alone here, is looking for the gap, takes on Alexander-Arnold. Low cross in towards the far post, very nearly found Haaland. All the Real Madrid defenders seem to leave it for each other. Shot from Rodri again from the edge of the box. He's dragged it wide, and that goes behind for another goal kick. I mean, yeah,
he's just not himself at the moment, Erling Haaland. I mean, Doku's faced at least 2 players on every occasion. This time he does brilliantly. Actually just gets on the outside and whips it right across through the middle of the 6-yard box. It goes behind Rudiger, in between Courtois, and it comes all the way to Howson before it's cleared. Erling Haaland just not where he should be, and chance goes.
Right, the one Champions League tie in the balance. Arsenal Leverkusen, there has been a goal. John Southall.
And what a goal. Arsenal 1, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Eberechi Eze 20 yards out on the volley, absolutely flew into the goal, just sat up for him and he hit it into the top corner. First Champions League goal for him, and how important could that be? Arsenal 1, Bayer Leverkusen 0, 2-1 on aggregate.
Winners of that one will face Sporting in the quarter-finals, who've beaten Bodo Glimt by 5-0 in the second leg tonight, winning 5-3 on aggregate. Chelsea need 5 goals to get back level with PSG on aggregate. Do they look like scoring, Chris Coles?
No, they don't. That's a big mountain to climb, and probably too big for Chelsea. The response was okay, but they're not creating anywhere near enough, and Paris Saint-Germain look like they have many more goals in them. Chelsea 0, PSG 2, 7-2, the holders on aggregate.
Oh, lovely turn from Brahim Diaz into the penalty area. Fancies the shot himself, still dribbling, beats a couple of defenders. Donnarumma makes the block and the ball's loose on the goal line. Donnarumma gets there just in time before you-know-who, Federico Valverde, was just about to walk onto that and smash that into the roof of the net. But the intricate skill from Diaz there.
Oh, absolutely outstanding. He had Aït-Nouri and especially Ruben Diaz twisted and turning in circles. I mean, I've never seen it. I don't think I've seen anyone do that to Diaz before. Literally make him fall over his own feet inside his own penalty, and it took another wonderful save. This time from the goalkeeper in a blue in a Manchester City jersey, Donnarumma, to match what Courtois has done at the other end to keep the scores as they are.
Alvaro Arbeloa, the Real Madrid coach, just comes over to have a word with the 4th official. Xabi Alonso in charge at the start of the season. Arbeloa now in charge with the dark blue jacket on, black trousers, smart shoes. Just issuing some instructions. Real Madrid have a free kick here. Trent Alexander-Arnold is yet to score for Real Madrid. This is exactly the kind of situation he loves. Those Real Madrid fans behind Donnarumma's goal, away to our right in front of the south stand. Alexander-Arnold has scored at this stadium for Liverpool. Is he going to have a shot here? No, it's going to be Gula with his left foot. Big deflection off the wall and spins behind for the corner to the visitors. Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 1. The Vinicius Junior penalty. Madrid lead 4-0 on aggregate.
Yeah, they've just got to hang in there, Manchester City. First and foremost, it's probably get to half-time without any more damage inflicted, then just try and get the next goal. That's all they can do. Try and get the next goal, be as positive as they possibly can. Obviously, things are not going their way at the moment.
Corner for Real Madrid. Closing stages of the first half. 6 minutes to play here. Arsenal 1 up on Leverkusen. Corner comes into the penalty area. Whole clutch of players jump for it. Doku lets that drop but can't keep it in play, so that will be another Real Madrid corner, which Arda Güler, the young Turkish international, waits to take. Long sleeve black Real Madrid shirt, marches back towards the hoardings, jogs at the ball, pace on that towards the far post. Donnarumma reaches, gets a right hand on it. Cherki did really well to flick it away from Valverde. He's on his own now, Cherki, inside his own half, chased by a couple of Real Madrid players. Those are dazzling skills with his feet there, but eventually he's just run into too many men, and Tchouameni's taken the ball away for Real Madrid, charging forward up to the edge of the penalty area, blocked by Husanov, cleared away to Nunez on the right-hand side. Valverde jumps in and hoiks the ball into the stands, and that will be a throw-in to Manchester City, down to 10 men and trailing 1-0 on the night.
Yeah, just too much to do there for Cherki. You're right, some dazzling feet, some great skill. Unfortunately, Manchester City haven't been able, since that first 10 or 15 minute spell, haven't been able to get him doing that on the edge of Real Madrid penalty area.
Had their chances early in the game. Courtois with a 2 or 3. Good save, shots hit hard but straight at him. Other efforts off target, and Bernardo Silva sent off. And Vinicius stuck the penalty away, which makes this an almost impossible task now for Manchester City. And of course, as we keep reminding you, League Cup final against Arsenal to come on Sunday. Kicks off at 4:30 at Wembley. Doku receives the pass inside the penalty area. Brilliant feat from him. Haaland has found the back of the net from 6 yards out. It wasn't his most convincing finish. It hits his left boot. It bobbles over the line. Manchester City have an equaliser on the night. 1-1 tonight. 4-1 down on aggregate. Who knows?
I just mentioned, just get the next goal. Go from there. Just see what happens. Manchester City, I talked about the last corner, just floating it into the hands of Thibaut Courtois. Well, this time, Reinders just played it quickly. I think it was Aït-Nouri. They just decided to get the hand on it and play, and they played before Real Madrid were ready. Lovely ball into the penalty area to the feet of Doku, who has looked bright in the last 5 or 10 minutes or so, and he just did a brilliant turn inside the penalty area and put it right across the middle again. And this time, it does fall to Haaland via a deflection. Not the most convincing of finishes, not the best contact, and he actually seemed embarrassed that it went into the back of the goal from his body language, but they all count.
First goal in 5 games for Erling Haaland, a 57th Champions League goal in 58 appearances. But here come Real Madrid with Güler. Diaz wants it, running forward to the edge of the penalty area. Güler floats this one towards Valverde, brings it down on his chest. Second touch, not so good. Challenge made by Aït-Nouri. Alexander-Arnold is there, nearly found the top corner, curling away from goal. Donnarumma might tell you he had it covered. It's gone behind for the goal kick. Manchester City 1, Real Madrid 1. So back to where we were at the start of the night. Manchester City needing 3 goals. Down to 10 men, of course, but 3 goals to get this tie level and potentially take it into extra time. 4 goals without conceding to win it. The danger is they may very well concede. And here come Real Madrid again down the right. Diaz, support wide from Valverde, the captain. That bright green captain's armband wrapped around his left bicep. Shirt untucked, Alexander-Arnold just languidly strokes a pass across to Howson. Howson plays one straight up the inside left channel to the 18-year-old pit arch, wide to Fran Garcia. Pep Guardiola, with this sort of country casual look, the baggy lumberjack shirt, stares on, arms crossed, then comes stomping back towards the technical area. Closing stages of the first half. Arsenal 1 up on Leverkusen, looking good for them, leading 2-1 on aggregate. Commentary continues on Sports Extra. Chelsea 2-0 down at home against Paris Saint-Germain. That is 7-2 down on aggregate. And Sporting through against Buda Glimt. Alexander-Arnold's cross low, blocked by Ruben Diaz, and behind for a Real Madrid corner. We're definitely going to entertain it.
Yeah, and look, Manchester City are going to have to go through spells like this. I mean, they've scored, but since they have done, they've been on the back foot. And you're going to have to do that against Real Madrid when they have 11 men. When you have 11 men, never mind 10. They're just going to have to defend brilliantly. They're going to have to make sure they ride their luck a little bit. As I said, the first part of that, it's just getting through this spell and getting to half-time.
Yeah. What is it? 1 minute, 20 seconds plus added time. Güler curls the corner in. Headed away by Reinders. Drops on the right boot of Doku. Got a little bit lucky there with the first touch. Alexander-Arnold does enough to stop him getting away down the left. Knocks it out for a Manchester City throw. Taken by Aït-Nouri. Straight back to Ruben Diaz, who was one of those who started in the 4-0 win against Real Madrid 3 years ago in the Champions League semi-final second leg. Jack Grealish was on fire, I remember, at that time. Kevin De Bruyne in his pomp. Rodri at full fitness. Erling Haaland starting that game as well. Different times. Manchester City now level in this game. Aït-Nouri on the ball inside the Real Madrid half, creeping forward, passes back to Reinders. Reinders, low pass, fizzed across the turf to Cherki. Cherki wide to Núñez. Núñez thinks about taking on Garcia on the outside, stops a couple of times in his tracks. Reinders tries to turn, he's lost it to Tchouaméni. Pass forward to Vinicius, he can't control it. Haaland is there for City, back it comes to Aït-Nouri. They could get a second before half-time. Wide it comes to Doku, who's looked extremely dangerous wide on the left. Back to Diaz, 40 yards out. Who's that to? Not sure. Curling ball to the edge of the box. Haaland leaps, flicks the ball on. Valverde heads it away. And here come Real Madrid. Quicksilver counter-attack from the back. Passes played out to the right-hand side to Diaz. Back here into the inside right channel, looking for Vinicius. Interception by Reinders. Really important for Manchester City. And side-footed away by Donnarumma. Leon Osman.
Yeah, really good recovery. As I said, you will get them moments. And They got back quite quickly to what was probably a 3v2 against Manchester City there. Actually, if you just keep getting in each other's face, make the opposition make one more pass, maybe you'll get time to recover, and they did then on that occasion. Riders getting back.
It's feeling a little bit sort of school playground football at the moment. Nunes goes chasing down the right. Did he keep that in? No, not quite. Courtois got it covered at the near post, but it went behind for the goal kick to Real Madrid. 3 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. Arsenal 1 up on Leverkusen. Paris Saint-Germain 2-0 up at Stamford Bridge, 7-2 up on aggregate. Arsenal 2-1 up on aggregate. And great sadness for those on the Commentators View podcast, which is available to listen to every Friday. John Murray, Ian Dennis and I, big fans of Buda Glimt. John and I have enjoyed fantastic trips out to the Arctic Circle, but they are out of the competition, giving us great entertainment this season. They've been beaten 5-0 by Sporting, who in Champions League history become only the 5th team to have turned a knockout tie around, having lost the first leg by 3 or more goals. Exactly what Manchester City are trying to do tonight. Liverpool did, of course, famously in the semi-final against Barcelona back in 2019. Sporting have done it against Buda Glimt tonight. They've beaten them 5-0, and they are waiting for the winners of Arsenal Leverkusen. Courtois plays to Rudiger with his sharp, pointy beard, out to Alexander-Arnold. He couldn't keep that in play, goes out for a throw. Diaz tries to take the ball off Güler. Güler is down, writhing around in agony. He knows half-time is coming, and I think he's making a bit of a meal of that. Brahim Diaz, former Manchester City player, not happy. Gets into Rodri's face and Ruben Diaz's face. Him up against those two, he's looking very much like a Lilliputian in Gulliver's Travels. He's a short, stocky little fella, and the other two absolutely towering over him. And I think Rodri at the moment is just saying to Güler, come on.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it would have been a foul, but the ball had gone out of play, and I think Güler was acting like it was still in play, trying to play on.
Yeah.
I think even Diaz was trying to get the game started quickly. Once he got skipped back, he probably couldn't help but stick his foot out to try and act as if the game was still on, just in case maybe. Referees probably handled that quite well, just calmed everybody down. Certainly no need to dish out a yellow card.
Fourth official has come marching 20 yards up the left-hand touchline and sort of quite insistently has waved Ait Nouri back about 2 yards. Really made a point of doing that, not quite sure why. Throw in taken, closing seconds of the first half here. Rodri's lost it, Rudiger steps in for Real Madrid, forward from Güler towards Vinicius. Kusanov barges into, Vinicius goes down holding his face. It looks shoulder to shoulder. Referee's gone for his top pocket and given a yellow card to Kusanov because he felt he didn't play the ball, he played the man. And Pep Guardiola just sticks his hands in his pockets, turns and shrugs and sort of with the body language says, well, what can he do?
Well, you might get away with that in the Premier League. You very rarely do in Europe, especially right in front of the assistant referee, who's only probably 3 or 4 yards away from it, right there in the action. And as the ball comes in to Vinicius, it just sort of skips away from him slightly, but in doing so, it went past Kusanov a bit. Kusanov went in for the shoulder-to-shoulder, thinking he was competing. Once that touch just came off his feet, he just turned his body into Kusanov rather than his shoulder, and in doing so, that's why Kusanov caught him flush in the face.
This is getting rather bad-tempered now towards the end of the first half. Ruben Diaz says something has happened off the ball with Brahim Diaz. He thinks the assistant referee should have seen it. Vinicius is in the centre of it as well. Manchester City already down to 10. Donnarumma towering over Brahim Diaz now, actually stoops down almost on bended knee to look at him eye to eye, and Brahim Diaz really wants to keep going at this. Cherki gets involved and tries to push him away, and the referee just needs to try and get a handle on this. Manchester City frustrated.
Well, they can't afford to go down to 9 men, Manchester City, and I don't think it's going to suit them. I mean, Real Madrid are silly for even getting involved in this at all. They're 3 goals ahead and a man up. They just need to calm everything down. Manchester City don't mind a bit of fire in the game. They don't mind getting the crowd on side. Might actually help the team.
Right, played almost 5 minutes of added time now. There were meant to be 3. Ball is back in play. Real Madrid have taken their free kick, and that is that at half-time. So Manchester City are down to 10 men. Pep Guardiola and Trent Alexander-Arnold exchanging a word as they head to the tunnel, but it's a good-natured one. Both wreathed in smiles there. And Manchester City started tonight 3 goals down on aggregate in the tie. That remains the same. 1-1 tonight because Haaland got the equaliser after Vinicius gave Real Madrid the lead from the penalty spot, but crucially Bernardo Silva sent off and Manchester City down to 10 men. It will be quite some comeback tonight if they can pull it off. 1-1 at half-time. Kelly.
Ali, thank you very much. Alistair Bruce-Ball and Leon Osman at the Etihad for this one. And Leon, not only is it level on the night, not only do Manchester City still have to overturn that deficit, they're down to 10 men, and you can see the frustration starting to bubble over at the end of that first half.
Yeah, of course, and that's inevitable because you had such different aspirations and expectations for this evening, and they started so well. They did. They were just a goal or a finish or a brilliant save from Courtois away from actually getting the perfect start to the game, and then one just good moment, I'd say, for Real Madrid. Brilliant play out from the back and the effort on goal, which I don't think that Bernardo Silva can have any real qualms about. He did stick his arm out, it did stop the ball going in the goal by the rule book. That is a red card as well, and suddenly everything seems like it's gone against them. Couple of other decisions as well that the referee didn't give, and suddenly you can feel that. But they've got a goal back, and it's a bit positive, and they finished the half on a high and on a positive, and that's what I said. You can all they can do now is get the next goal, just see where it takes them.
Can Manchester City get 3 goals back in the second half against Real Madrid? Or, even better, Leon Osman and Alistair Bruce-Ball will take us through the second half in just 15 minutes or so. Meanwhile, it's half-time at the Emirates between Arsenal and Bayer Leverkusen, and it's going well for Arsenal, John Southall.
It is. Arsenal 1, Bayer Leverkusen 0, so they lead 2-1 on aggregate. An impressive 45 minutes this from Arsenal, and a special goal from Eberechi Eze, 20 yards out, a bouncing ball on the spin, and he struck it on his left foot on the volley, and it simply flew into the top corner. His first Champions League goal. What a goal, 9th of the season. They had chances before that, 3 for Leandro Trossard. The first he dragged wide, the second denied by Blažić, and the third again a brilliant stop by the keeper with his right boot. Gabriel's also headed one over. Declan Rice has been denied by the keeper. So yeah, so far so good for Arsenal. As it stands at the moment, they're heading into the last 8, 1-0 on the night, 2-1 on aggregate.
And Matthew Upson also at the Emirates for us. As John was saying, Matt, it is 1-0 to Arsenal. That's stunning as a goal. But it could be more. They've been very much on top in that first 45 minutes.
Yeah, they really have, Kelly, to be honest. It's been very Arsenal-like, this performance. Controlling, they've suffocated Leverkusen, they're forcing them into mistakes with the ball in their own box, and the intensity and tempo has been right at it. And from that, they've had loads of opportunities. They're winning corners, they're applying pressure there, and they've just had one absolutely magic moment from Eze to bang the ball in on the swivel with his right foot. It was a fantastic goal. So they're in a really good position at the moment at half-time.
Thank you very much for that. We'll be back with the Emirates and keep you up to date with everything that's happening in that game, as Arsenal are looking comfortable in terms of trying to progress to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Meanwhile, not at all comfortable for Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in lots of ways against Paris Saint-Germain. Chris Coles.
No, 2-0 down, and any hope of a special Champions League comeback emphatically extinguished inside. Quarter of an hour at Stamford Bridge, the holders ruthlessly taking the game away from Chelsea. Kvaratskhelia capitalising on a Sarr error to fire into the corner. Barcola superbly finishing from just inside the box with Chelsea wide open. They've had further good chances too. Chelsea have created bits and pieces. A João Pedro header just wide. Palmer forcing a good save from Safanov, but there's no real belief in their play. There's very little belief emanating from the stands, and the boos were prominent on the half-time whistle. Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain 2, 7-2 PSG on aggregate.
And Pat Nevin is also there. Pat, look, this was always going to be difficult for Chelsea, but have they showed any real fight or spirit or belief that they could get back into this tie, or even, put in a battling performance?
They've not been absolutely awful. They've created a few chances. They went for it. They went for the back three. I mentioned it before the game. I thought they might be tempted by that, but there's a problem with that. You leave yourself 3 against 3 against Kvaratskhelia, against Barcola, and against a not bad player called Dembele as well. And if you do that man for man at the back, and you've left 2 20-year-olds and the white players there, if you get done in the break, don't be surprised. To say with something like Julian Roland, who we were talking about earlier on, would say, "Le bleu, ils ont toy naïf." And the guy beside me said that, by the way. They are so naive the way they're playing just now. and you could see it coming an absolute mile away. But there's another little part of me that thinks, well, they had to have a go, didn't they? They had to try something. Well, they tried something. Well, it's not worked. They're 7-2 down. And do you know the best thing you can do now? Go back to a 4 at the back and just try and shut up shop a wee bit, because there was a moment there that it could have got very, very ugly. And if I'm honest with you, Kelly, I think the foot has completely come off the gas from PSG just now. They're just cruising.
Pat, thank you very much for that. We're keeping you up to date with everything that happens in the Champions League. We're also across what's happening in the EFL, including in the Championship, where there's been a goal at the game between Watford and Wrexham. Charlie Slater.
Wrexham have one back, just the start they needed to the second half. Corner kick, the ball is flicked into the back of the net by the head of Max Cleworth, who darted to the near post and flicked it to the back stick. It's Watford 2, Wrexham 1.
In League One, watching Cardiff against Wickham, it's Molly Stevens.
Where it's 10-man, Cardiff 0, Wickham 0. Wickham trying desperately to make the extra man count. The ball bobbling around their box, but it doesn't find the back of the net. It remains goalless.
And watching Huddersfield Lincoln, Adam Cottier.
The League One leaders, Lincoln, are 2-1 down here. They got themselves back into the game after a Feeney own goal. They haven't lost since November. They're trying their best. Ben House has come close to equalising. It remains Huddersfield 2, Lincoln 1.
In League Two, Newport County taking on Bromley. David Kernan.
Yes, it's goalless here despite Newport's dominance. They've been excellent, great intensity. Matt Baker missed an open goal in the first half, and Ben Lloyd has just hit the post from the edge of the 6-yard box. Bromley, they've been completely under the cosh throughout since the word go. 25 minutes left here. It's Newport 0, Bromley 0.
Regular updates from everything that's happening in the EFL this evening, and of course we'll keep you up to date with the Premier League clubs in Champions League action this evening. Manchester City 1-1 against Real Madrid on the night, but they trail by 4-1 on aggregate. Arsenal 1-0 up at half-time on the night, 2-1 up against Bayer Leverkusen on aggregate, and Chelsea a 5-2 defeat in the first leg. They're 2-0 down at Stamford Bridge in the second leg. They are 7-2 down on aggregate. We'll keep you up to date with all of that after we've had the BBC News headlines from Mark Summers.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
And we'll start with some breaking news. In the past few minutes, Iranian authorities have confirmed the death of the country's security chief, Ali Laranjani. He was targeted in an Israeli airstrike last night. The director of the United States National Counterterrorism Center has resigned. Joe Kent says he cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran, as the country posed no imminent threat to the US. President Donald Trump says Mr. Kent was weak on security and it's a good thing he's resigned. Here, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has told MPs and peers that the Iranian regime and Vladimir Putin's Russia are brothers in hatred. He said Ukraine had deployed more than 200 anti-drone experts to help Gulf countries defend themselves against Iranian strikes. In other news, meningitis B vaccinations to be given to some university students in Kent to tackle an outbreak which has claimed 2 lives and put several others in hospital. Some pharmacies there are warning of shortages as people living around Canterbury have paid around £200 for the jab privately. Metel Haydav is a pharmacist in the area.
I've received 30 phone calls just for vaccination inquiry and NHS 111 referral. Normally we get it for minor illnesses. Every single referral was inquiry about meningitis vaccine.
Members of the Scottish Parliament are holding their final debate on whether to legalise assisted dying. If the bill passes, it would allow terminally ill, mentally competent adults to seek medical help to end their lives. The vote on the legislation is expected at around 10 o'clock tonight. And Glasgow Central Station will partially reopen tomorrow, having closed for more than a week after a large fire destroyed a nearby building. Network Rail says it expects trains to run on about half of the platforms.
On BBC iPlayer.
You have a very serious problem. You need support. That's a bit dramatic.
Based on the best-selling books by Marion Keyes.
Everyone has their dramas. Sure, house with that many women, how could we avoid it?
The Walsh Sisters.
Welcome to the family.
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sports, the Champions League with Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This evening on 5 Live Sport, Arsenal 1-0 up at home to Bayer Leverkusen. That's 2-1 on aggregate. Manchester City 1-1 against Real Madrid on the night, 4-1 down on aggregate, and Chelsea losing 2-0 on the night, 7-2 down on aggregate. We'll bring you the second half updates very shortly, and we've got 2 Champions League commentaries for you tomorrow night. We're at Anfield for Liverpool against Galatasaray at 8, and before that we'll be in Barcelona, where Newcastle are level at 1-1 going into the second leg. Let's hear from Eddie Howe, who's staying calm ahead of a huge night for Newcastle.
The process that you go through before each game is the same, regardless of where you're playing, regardless of the size of the competition. We try to do the same things. We try to treat every game as if it is a Champions League final, without using cliches. So we'll do the work in the same way. We prepare in the same way. Yes, we're in a different environment, one we've never been to before. We'll enjoy the game when it comes, but we'll only truly enjoy it if we deliver what we know we need to deliver, and I think we're in a good place to do that. I think the players are probably as confident as they've been at any stage this season. With our recent performances, I think have been really strong. The individuals within our team are performing at a really high level as well. That hasn't always been the case this season. So hopefully we're peaking at the right time, but we need everything to go our way tomorrow. We know how good Barcelona are. We don't underestimate the size of the task, but we believe in ourselves at the same time.
And our football correspondent John Murray is with Chris Sutton in Barcelona. And John, you're being exceptionally patient because you're going to wait to have your pudding after we finish this interview.
And rightly so, Kelly. But we're sitting here, me and Chris, I've got strawberries and cream sitting in a bowl in front of me, and we've been absolutely gripped by the first half of Manchester City against Real Madrid. But listening to Eddie Howe there, he came across a little bit Tony Blair, didn't he? I don't like to use cliches, but I feel the hand of history on our shoulders.
Yes, it was very statesmanlike in terms of his quotes. But he says, Chris, they're as confident as they have been at any stage this season.
Yeah, look, I always feel that like Eddie Howe teams are capable. I covered the game at the weekend against Chelsea, and looking at Newcastle's starting lineup, you think, well, that'd be difficult for Newcastle to get a result. They defended really well. Aaron Ramsdale in the Newcastle goal had very little to do with it, and they can counter that. They had pace up top, and I think that's going to be the key in the Nou Camp. Tomorrow night, that pace they have, whether it's Barnes and Murphy and Gordon up top, or whether Elanga starts, I think that Newcastle can hurt Barcelona. I suppose that the feeling going into this game is that late equaliser from Lamine Yamal at St James's Park. That makes Barcelona favourites, and it is a strong Barcelona team, 4 points top of La Liga, but you always feel that the Eddie Howe teams, he sets them up where they will have a chance. I think myself and John were discussing Sandro Tonali and whether he's going to be fit and available. I don't know whether he trained this evening, but that feels like key, John, doesn't it? For
he's
Newcastle?
Here, Tonali. Remember, he missed the Chelsea game because of illness. Eddie Howe said today is the first day that they've seen him, so he was going to train with them in the period that they trained inside the Nou Camp this evening. They're going to make a decision tomorrow, but I think if Tonali doesn't make it, remember there's no Bruno Guimaraes, no Lewis Miley. That is a lot of power missing from the midfield. And don't forget, Barcelona, who've moved back to the Nou Camp, which is being rebuilt at the moment. Since they moved back there, they've played 12, they've won 12. And with an aggregate of 39-7. They have a brilliant record in this thing, which by the law of probabilities means...
They could be in a bit of bother tomorrow.
Well, that is certainly a possibility, but you were talking about some of the late fitness calls that Newcastle are going to have to make, Tonali amongst them. But Newcastle 7 points off qualifying for the Champions League place through the league, and that's if it goes to 5 places. Otherwise, they're 9 points behind 4th place Aston Villa. It's been patchy in the league. So how much does what happens against Barcelona in Barcelona define their season, do you think?
Look, it would be a disappointment, if they get knocked out. Of course, it would be. Premier League form hasn't been there. I think there are reasons for that. The shambles at the start of the season with Isak going and the issues they had, in that centre forward position, was an issue. But I think it's still been an okay season. Semi-finals of the League Cup. Into the Champions League last 16. So, let's just wait and see.
On their day,
yes.
Newcastle.
Yeah, you can't rule them out.
Enjoy it. Enjoy your strawberries. It is an enormous bowl of strawberries and cream.
Yeah, have you seen it, Kelly? It's amazing.
3 different people have sent me a picture of it. They're so impressed by it. So I have seen them.
We missed the Haaland goal when John was ordering that as well.
Well, you'll miss the Haaland goal if you sit behind that bowl of strawberries and cream, because you won't be able to see the screen. Get back to the game, enjoy the game, and enjoy the game tomorrow. Thank you so much to John Murray and to Chris Sutton joining us from Barcelona for Barcelona against Newcastle tomorrow night. Also in action tomorrow, Tottenham. They host Atletico Madrid, trailing 5-2 from the first leg. Tonight, Chelsea up against Paris Saint-Germain, Arsenal up against Bayer Leverkusen, and at the Etihad, it's Manchester City 1, Real Madrid 1. Real Madrid lead 4-1 on aggregate from the first leg. And your commentary team, Leon Osman and Alistair Bruce-Ball.
Thank you, Kelly. Manchester City down to 10 men as well, because the Real Madrid goal came from a Vinicius Junior penalty after Bernardo Silva, only via a VAR check. I don't think the referee spotted it on the pitch, was adjudged quite rightly, I think, to have handballed a Vinicius shot, stopped it going in. That saw him sent off as well. Erling Haaland with the equaliser just before half-time. Leon Osman and I have a couple of team changes to tell you about that have been made at the half-time break as well, but we've got to see here Husanov trying to deal with Vinicius first of all. Now, he'd initially won that ball. He's lost it again inside the Manchester City penalty area. Pit arches on the turn here, knocks it back to Diaz, and Vinicius shoots. Curler well off target, and behind it goes for the goal kick. So at half-time, I'll tell you about the changes in a second, because we're going to take you straight back to Arsenal. John Southall.
Well, it's still Arsenal 1 by Leverkusen 0, but early chance in this second half. Leandro Trossard on the edge of the penalty area, tried to shape it into that top right-hand corner, and not a million miles away. But as a goal, that wonderful volley, right foot volley, means it's Arsenal 1 by Leverkusen 0, 2-1 on aggregate.
Winners will play Sporting in the quarter-finals. Andre Lunin, by the way, is on for Real Madrid at half-time. That's his first touch of the game. The Ukrainian goalkeeper clears with his left foot. Leon, for Manchester City, Ake and Guehi on, Ruben Dias and Reinders off. What's that all about?
Well, it looks like Manchester City are kind of sort of like a hybrid back three with Aït-Nouri and Matheus Nunes as real out-and-out wing-backs at times, and certainly when they're in possession of the ball, that's how they're lining up. Rodri just sitting at the base of the midfield on his own. Cherki and Doku look like got licence to roam.
Oh, Doku trying to thread one through to Haaland. Very nearly found him as well, because Haaland, with that sort of mock anguish, put his hands over his face, kind of making the point if he had got that through, then Haaland was in. So this game not over yet, but Manchester City 3 goals behind and a man down. Here's Rodri, and of course it's a really difficult second half to manage for Pep Guardiola as well. Down to 10, chasing the ball. League Cup final coming on Sunday against Arsenal, who are ahead against Leverkusen this evening. Commentary of that game continues on Sports Extra. John Murray and Chris Sutton with commentary of Barcelona Newcastle from the Nou Camp tomorrow. Kicks off at 5:45. That'll be followed by Liverpool Galatasaray on 5 Live, which kicks off at 8 once John and Chris have got through that mountain of strawberries and cream. Cherki running at Gula here. Gula just holds off him. Cherki lays it off to Nunes on the right, level with the penalty spot. Slow pass back to Cherki. Works it onto his left foot. Doku flicks it up in the air. Rodri can't do much with that. Headed away. Drops down to Husanov. Here's Guehi. So yeah, you've got Donnarumma in goal. Husanov, Guehi, Ake now, the 3 centre-backs. As Leon was explaining, Aït-Nouri and Matheus Nunes wide. Rodri still in the middle there. Bernardo Silva, of course, has been sent off. Doku, Cherki and Haaland making up the rest of the Manchester City team, and Real Madrid quite happy just to sit and contain at the moment. Manchester City have obviously got to chase it to try and get back in the tie, and Real Madrid definitely have the weapons to get at them. Lovely turn by Nunes though, on the right, cross comes in, headed away by Dean Howson for Madrid. Rodri comes steaming across to win the ball for Manchester City. Back to Husanov it goes, wide to Matheus Nunes, keeping an eye on all the goals going in the EFL up and down the country. Reporters at our featured games too will keep you updated on those. Here's Doku on the dribble, left-hand side, low cross. Haaland! Lunin makes the save. Haaland again. Stretches out a right boot. It balloons over the bar and goes behind for the goal kick. And again, this sounds like it's going to be really harshly on, but Haaland at his very best. The first time effort from that Doku cross normally just smack into the back of the net.
Yeah, the ball was slightly behind him. What I will say is his actions going to attempt that finish were as sharp as I've seen him all evening. I thought he was a little bit timid at times and not quite as sharp in the first half. He was onto that in a flash. That's the Haaland that we've come to know. since he's joined Manchester City. Good save, took a slight deflection to help the goalkeeper. Good save, but good start from Man City to this second half. Dominating possession, got Real Madrid on the edge of their own penalty area and creating a chance.
Manchester City in the light blue shirts, white shorts, light blue socks with the dark tops, playing from left to right in the second half towards the south stand. We sit here in the Colin Bell stand, looking on as Shirky. Again, a little bit of magic on the right. Finds Nunes, cut back, digs his foot underneath the ball. Howson's right there, blocks it at close range and heads it behind for a corner. I know it's if. Manchester City can score early in the second half. You just never know, do you? Here's Shirky, low ball, looking for Guéhi in the middle. That's an interception. The real danger is going to be Real Madrid drawing Manchester City onto them, and then lethal, Cobra-like counter-attacks. Here's Valverde, scorer of that fabulous hat-trick in the first half. A reminder, winners of this tie, looks like it's going to be Real Madrid, will probably face Bayern Munich in the quarter-finals. And then on this side of the draw, it's Paris Saint-Germain, who look like they're going through against Chelsea tonight, and Liverpool Galatasaray, potential semi-final opponents for, let's say, Real Madrid and Bayern as things stand. 5 minutes gone in the second half. Arsenal leading 1-0 at home against Leverkusen, 2-1 up on aggregate. Commentary on that game continues on Sports Extra. Here's Howson, composed on the ball. Forward to Fran Garcia, lay off to Güler. Vinicius on the halfway line, looks for the give and go. Güler decides to curl a pass back into his own half, just over the head of Haaland. Reaches the feet of Rudiger, Champions League winner with Chelsea back in 2021 against Manchester City, of course. Diaz, sharp 1-2 with Alexander-Arnold. Alexander-Arnold half tackled by Doku. Doku goes down. Haaland complains to the referee, Clement Turpin, that's a foul. Turpin shakes his head and says no. Back to the Emirates Stadium, John Southall.
Still Arsenal 1 by Leverkusen 0, but Arsenal just penned in their own half in the last couple of minutes, just showing a bit of spirit here by Leverkusen. It's only 1 goal, so it's not over. Arsenal 1 by Leverkusen 0.
Yeah, they were impressive in that first game last week in Germany. Pitarch on the ball for Real Madrid, weaving his way through the Manchester City midfield. Pass to the right, finds Alexander-Arnold from Diaz. Back it comes to Tchouaméni. Tchouaméni to Howson. Howson breaks into a stride forward, out to Vinicius. Vinicius is getting booed by a few here. Went down late in the first half, but Leon described that perfectly. Husinov went for the shoulder charge, and actually he just dropped his pace, Vinicius, and it actually meant he did catch him with his back, really, or sort of back end of the shoulder in the face. So Vinicius did feel that. Guardiola's come back towards the bench to have a word. Real Madrid are knocking it around, keeping the ball, and it looks like early changes coming in the second half. Antoine Semenyo comes hurtling back towards the Manchester City dugout, Leon.
Yeah, quite eager to get him back, and maybe it's Marmoush as well. Maybe this was a plan change.
Vinicius on the left-hand side receives the ball, turns away from Mateus Nunes. Offside flag goes up. Pantomime villain Vinicius gets a bit of stick from the Manchester City fans, and that will be a free kick to City in the right back position. What's going on elsewhere then? Notts County 3-0 up at Accrington Stanley in League 2. Swindon, Aaron Drinnan has scored for Swindon away to Gillingham. So Swindon 1 up there, and Peterborough having a good evening at home to Rotherham. They lead 3-0. Salford 2, Barrow 0. Haaland not even looking at the ball there, was looking at Howson. Chases it through in the end. It comes back to Lunin. So I wonder what was up with Courtois at half-time. Coming off in goal. Here's Ait Nouri, forward to Haaland. Good first touch, fires the shot in. Lunin makes the save, nearly came back to Shirky, and then Rodri drives on from the edge of the box, well wide and behind for the goal kick.
Chances creating from Manchester City. I mean, perhaps looking to make 2 substitutions, but this 10, beg your pardon, have cut through this Real Madrid side on a couple of occasions, and only 8 minutes into this second half, forced Lunin to make 2, maybe 3 saves now. So yeah, it's all is not lost at the moment.
10th Champions League campaign for Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. Winners in 2023, beaten finalists in 2021. One other semi-final that they lost to Real Madrid in 22. Here's Rodri to Doku, just inside the penalty area, still dribbling. Oh, all the way through, looking for Haaland. Finds Haaland, takes a touch, hits the shot, that's blocked, back it comes. Guéhi hits one with his right foot. Again blocked by a wall of Real Madrid defenders, and Cherki plays it back to Husinov, but Real Madrid under real pressure. Manchester City down to 10 men, really taking the fight here to the 15 times European champions. And Ake finds Ait Nouri on the left. Valverde backs off. Doku Dazzling dribbling again, mesmerising skills, dances past Pitach, crosses in, nearly finds Haaland. Howson in the right place to head it away. Guehi, too strong here, holds off Diaz, goes to ground. Referee Turpin says that is a free kick for Manchester City. Fans getting into it, Pep Guardiola getting into it. Manchester City players with a bit of belief here.
Yeah, really good pressure, this from Manchester City. They're taking it a quick one again.
Yeah, taking it quickly. Cherki's given it to Doku. Doku again. Just sort of blur of movement there as the feet move around the ball. Cherki strokes it out to Ait Nouri. Ait Nouri back to Cherki, edge of the penalty area. Quickens the pace. Looks to make a dart down the left. Finds Ait Nouri again. Doku drops a little bit deeper. Looking for the return pass for Ait Nouri. He's tackled. And then Vinicius with a good ball out of his own half. That is fabulous pace by Husanov. He is rapid. Catches up with Diaz, gets to the ball first, plays it back to Donnarumma.
Outstanding, and he gave him probably 5 or 8 yards there before he managed to get back in that situation. That's why he's in the team, for that pace, for that recovery. You just feel at the moment, I mean, Pep might be making some changes now, but this is a real crucial sort of spell in the game for City. You feel they have to get a goal back now.
Now this, it's it's not just a League Cup final change, but Haaland off for Marmoush feels to me like not we're giving up tonight because Marmoush offers a different threat, but there's a massive game coming on Sunday. Haaland's coming off, Mateus Nunes is coming off, Semenyo comes on, who's been in great form, and Marmoush goes through the middle. But Pep Guardiola's got to try and manage it all, because Arsenal coming up at Wembley on Sunday. Full commentary of the League Cup final on 5 Live. Matt Upson alongside John Murray and Ian Dennis. And by the way, at 2:15 as Semenyo goes racing through, and Lunin with a inventive bit of goalkeeping throws himself at a diving header to clear, heads it away for a throw. 2:15, 5 Live on Sunday. Massive game at the wrong end of the Premier League table. We've got full commentary on Spurs against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, huge games coming up.
Semenyo with pace down the right, deflected cross, Lunin is there and makes the catch.
Just wonder, I mean, we just talked about making those changes. I just wonder if this was, the 70th minute and there was a goal in it, whether Haaland was always destined to only play a certain amount of minutes in this game, or whether it's felt it's too much, too far, too many goals between the teams, and it's not worth giving him those extra minutes with 10 men.
Still feels exciting in here this evening, and the quality of football on show is obviously absolutely top-notch.
That's testament to Manchester City, because of the way they're actually, even with 10 men, yes, they're having to defend with spells without the ball and get tight and together and make sure Real Madrid can't play through, but they're still causing a lot of problems when they do get the ball.
Bradford have equalised against Mansfield, just under 20 minutes to play. Blackpool 2, Port Vale 2 in League One, and Leyton Orient 4-2 up now away to AFC Wimbledon. That's a handball from Cherki, blocking the clearance from Gula. Still Manchester City 1, Real Madrid 1, so Real Madrid leading 4-1 on aggregate. To Arsenal, John Southall.
Arsenal won by Leverkusen 0. Gyökeres into the penalty area. His shot just deflected behind for a corner on the far right-hand side for Arsenal. Just before that, brilliant ball in from the right-hand side, but there was Quansah, formerly of Liverpool, of course, with a terrific clearance. Arsenal won by Leverkusen 0.
Trent Alexander-Arnold on the ball in an attacking position for Real Madrid. Pass is half deflected. Goulet plays it back to Tchouameni. Goal at Stamford Bridge. Chris Coles.
This could get very awkward for Liam Rossigna and Chelsea. A third for Paris Saint-Germain. The substitute, Seni Mayulu, the youngster, has scored from the edge of the penalty area. Another excellent finish into the top corner. Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain 3, now 8-2 on aggregate.
Winners of that one against Liverpool or Galatasaray in the quarter-finals. Galatasaray start that second leg at Anfield tomorrow night with a 1-0 lead. We've got full commentary on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. I did have a slight chuckle when I picked up the match programme here at Manchester City tonight, and it's a picture of the Manchester City players in the team huddle. The ball has been played through by Goulet, but it's gone long and gone behind for the goal kick. Newport Bromley in League 2 is our featured game. There's been a goal. David Canaan.
Yes, and a late goal, and Bromley surely have won it right at the death. Corey Lightly with a long-range effort, completely against the run of play. Newport have done everything apart from score within the light 90 seconds. We've got around 6 minutes left. It's now Newport 0, Bromley 1.
Played 15 minutes in the second half at the Etihad Stadium. This is an important goal that's gone in at the Emirates Stadium. Which way has it gone, John Southall?
The noise will tell you, surely it's game over. Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0, 3-1 on aggregate. Brilliant from Declan Rice in the D, and he just caressed it into the bottom right-hand corner. Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0.
Elsewhere in the EFL, Oldham 3-0 up at Chesterfield. We've heard about Bromley taking the lead at Newport. Peterborough have a fourth at home against Rotherham. That's Peterborough 4, Rotherham 0. Barrow have a goal back against Salford. Salford lead 2-1. Semenyo miles over the crossbar, hits it with power with his left foot as he was falling back from the edge of the box. That will be a goal kick for Real Madrid. Leon Osman.
Yeah, since he's come onto the pitch, Semenyo, he's had a few things that he could do, a few things that he kind of hasn't done. He's come on in place of Matheus Nunes, who actually, from this sort of right wing-back position, is getting a lot of joy running in behind. Well, so far, all Semenyo's wanted to do is come to feet and come and get the ball, but on that occasion, it got him the space to cut inside and get a shot away from on the angle with his left foot towards the far post. He just got it all wrong.
Rodri, hungry for the ball, takes it off Valverde. Doku speeds into space on the left, goes down too easily, says the referee. Howson under pressure from Semenyo, cool as you like, drops his shoulder and moves away, glides forward with the ball, and Real Madrid suddenly swarm forward in numbers down the left-hand side. Diaz is running at tiring Manchester City midfielders there, and then Real Madrid decided to come back to the halfway line and knock a few passes around. Goal at Cardiff, Molly Stevens.
And Wickham have made the extra man count. Andre Vidigal, the substitute, caresses the ball, as John Southall says, into the bottom right-hand corner, just as I imagine Declan Rice did there at Arsenal. Cardiff 0, Wickham 1.
Eze and Rice with the goals for Arsenal tonight. Nice cushion there, leading Leverkusen 2-0 at home. So 3-1 on aggregate. Vinicius chasing the ball through. Tried to take it round Donnarumma. Donnarumma just stood there. Vinicius ran into him. And then Pittard is onto it and very nearly got round Husinov. It's gone behind for a corner in the end. Vinicius felt, well, he was blocked. He ran into Donnarumma. There was nowhere for Donnarumma to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, if there wasn't 3 goals and an extra man between these two teams, Vinicius Jr. would be going absolutely crazy there. But as it happens, he just stands up and so is happy to shake hands with Donnarumma. But the ball went over the top about 5 minutes ago. Donnarumma should have come out for it, didn't. Real Madrid nearly got through on goal. On this occasion, he came out, realised he couldn't get there, and just planted his feet and just said, well, if you're going to run into me, it's going to be your fault. And Vinicius Jr. hadn't seen him, did touch it past Donnarumma, could have been onto it, but hit that Donnarumma wall. Donnarumma will say, didn't really know what I was doing, I'd beg to differ. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. I think the referee's let that one go.
Yeah, context is everything in the match situation. Alexander-Arnold with the corner, Rudiger jumps. Donnarumma didn't get much on that, but Manchester City able to bring it away. Marmoush moving at speed. Doku in loads of space, tearing forward. Manchester City can't get it to him, and Brahim Diaz has followed the run. This is Cherki. Cherki through to Doku. Flag stays down. Chance for Manchester City. Doku must score and does score. And then the flag goes up to kill the moment in the Etihad Stadium. Doku has finished it well. All the Manchester City fans desperate for the comeback to keep rumbling on here. 1-1 on the night, 4-1 down on aggregate. They'll check it via VAR, but it doesn't look like it's going to count, Leon.
One touch too many from Cherki. I think it just allowed Doku. He just couldn't stop once he'd started to make the run. I mean, he made the run initially from the far side of the pitch, and we were saying Marmoush and Cherki just couldn't pick their head up and see and twist to be able to play him in, and once then it came across, he just couldn't stop his second run. He's offside.
Cross in from Garcia towards Vinicius, leans towards a header, can't get the touch on it, and the ball goes through to Ait Nouri in the left-back position. This is going to get end-to-end. 27 minutes plus added time to play. Manchester City need 3 goals, down to 10 men, 4-1 down on aggregate, but still going hard at this, and big game coming for them on Sunday. Red button night, don't forget. Champions League final score, which means you can listen to our commentary if you go to the BBC Sport website, app or iPlayer. Click on Champions League final score. You get the final score graphics and our commentary alongside. Arsenal Leverkusen continues on Sports Extra. Updates of Chelsea Paris Saint-Germain here, but that is done and dusted because PSG 3-0 up on the night, 8-2 up on aggregate. Guehi's ball through the middle here. Cherki's brought down by Tchouameni. Free kick for Manchester City. We're on air on 5 Live Sport with Kelly Cates through until 10:30, so we'll get all the post-match reaction, discussion, analysis, debate with Pat Nevin, Matt Upson and Leon Osman here at the Etihad Stadium, and that'll be there in the Football Daily podcast for you on the BBC Sounds app tomorrow. Semenyo to Marmoush, tried to be clever and take it round Tchouameni. Real Madrid have managed to clear. 20 minutes gone, second half, 25 minutes to play. City needing 3 goals. Speculation before the game, Leon was asked about this, whether potentially could be a last Champions League night as Manchester City boss for Pep Guardiola. We'll have to wait and see. 3 more trophies still to go for this season if they go out tonight. League Cup final on Sunday, still in the FA Cup. They'll face Liverpool in the quarterfinals, 9 points behind Arsenal in the title race with a game in hand. Back to Arsenal shortly, just watching what Manchester City can do here, see if they can work something with the 10 men. They still seem to be able to create the space. Rodri with a little dribble, stabs it with the outside of his right boot towards Ake. Wide it goes to Ait Nouri. Ait Nouri, corner of the penalty area, tries to take it past Valverde, still going, turns away now from Tchouameni. Doku is out there on the left-hand side. Doku lifts a leg as if he's about to make a quick dart forward. 2 defenders there, that's blocked, goes behind for the corner. John Southall at Arsenal.
Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0, but I think Mikel Arteta is now looking towards the League Cup final. Quadruple chain, Zubimendi, White, Trossard and Eze, who got a magnificent ovation as he went off, have all gone off for Norgard, Mascara, Trossard and Havertz. 2-0 on the night to Arsenal against Bayer Leverkusen, 3-1 on aggregate.
Manchester City have taken their corner. Husanov lines it up from long range. Low skidding shot. Lunin goes diving to his right. Didn't need to touch it. It's gone behind for the goal kick. Another goal at Cardiff. Molly Stevens.
Well, the substitutes are having their moment. Corley Woodrow scores Wickham second. A header from close range. It's Cardiff 0, Wickham 2.
Bristol Rovers 1, Shrewsbury 0 in League 2. Notts County have a 4th away to Accrington Stanley. Accrington Stanley 0, Notts County 4. Blackpool 3. Port Vale 2, some game that one. Peterborough 5, Rotherham 0. Archie Collins with the 5th. Brahim Diaz has run a long way with the ball for Real Madrid. Up to the edge of the Manchester City penalty area. Valverde rolls it into the path of Alexander-Arnold. Flicks it with the outside of his right boot. Diaz passes back to him on the volley. Alexander-Arnold goes back to the halfway line towards Howson. So both Arsenal and Manchester City, in terms of the way they're managing the games, gearing up for the League Cup final on Sunday. Arsenal are going through tonight as it stands, leading 3-1 on aggregate against Leverkusen. Manchester City are going out. Here's Gula inside left channel, inside the Manchester City half, and back it comes towards the halfway line. Leon Osman.
Yeah, it's very difficult for Manchester City because Real Madrid are just doing a job. They're not even trying to score at the moment. They might actually change that here, but not really too intent in actually creating.
Alexander-Arnold's cross. Vinicius brings it down on his thigh, moving with the ball away from goal. Tchouameni, nice pass. Fran Garcia, sliding block. And behind it goes for a Real Madrid corner. You're right, Leon, they're patient at knocking it around, then suddenly bang.
Yeah, bursting into life, but even then they probably had 3 opportunities to get a shot away, and they're looking for another pass to keep the ball, to create the perfect opening. Just trying to actually just make the clock go down. Brilliant actual play.
Right, talk about rubbing salt into the wound. Kylian Mbappe is about to come on for Real Madrid. Scored a hat-trick against Manchester City in the Champions League last season. Has missed the last 5 games. They're getting him up to speed. They've got Atletico at home in La Liga on Sunday. They're going to make the change now. Let's get back to Arsenal. John Southall.
Disallowed Arsenal goal, still Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Gyökeres on the right-hand side, played in the cross. Saka at the back post with the header, came off Tillman, but as it went in, Havertz was pulling his shirt and disallowed. So remains Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0, 3-1.
Brahim Diaz, once of Manchester City, leaves the field at the Etihad Stadium to be replaced by Kylian Mbappe. Such is the superstar strength of this Real Madrid squad. Mbappe comes bouncing onto the field, socks pulled high above the knees, little high five with Fran Garcia, and he's going to really look forward to his 22 minutes or so against the 10 men of Manchester City to try and add to the personal Champions League goal tally. Alexander-Arnold with the corner into the near post, good save. Donnarumma, flicked header. Tchouameni, I think it was, who got the flick. Donnarumma stuck up a right arm and he's tipped it over the bar.
Brilliant save. Reaction so quick. Yes, the ball is only right above his head. He lifts his arms up, but still brilliant reaction, and then the strength to push it up and over the bar. I mean, Tchouameni did a great, not only to get there, but the delicate flick which kept it goal bound.
Another corner, whistle blows. Trent Alexander-Arnold from the left whips that ball in, headed away by Husanov, drops to Mbappe on the half volley. hits it across the face of goal and behind for a goal kick. The full-time whistle has blown at Newport County. This game kicked off at 7:30. League Two leaders Bromley were there. David Canaan.
A classic smash and grab for Bromley, who had been second best all evening. Newport missed an open goal in the first, hit the post in the second, before Corey Whiteley's late strike punishes a wasteful Newport County side. Bromley go 5 clear at the top. It's finished. Newport County 0, Bromley 1.
I can't believe we're not going to get another goal in this one. This remains Manchester City 1, Real Madrid 1. 4-1 on aggregate to Real Madrid. So they are comfortably going through at the moment. Manchester City down to 10 men. Bernardo Silva sent off in the first half. Guardiola watching intently with his hands shoved deep into his pockets. Mild night actually in Manchester this evening. Had a lovely sunny walk along the canal this evening. Various joggers and cyclists come flying past as I was making my way to the Etihad Stadium. Semenyo, bit of speed down the right, lays it back to Rodri, cross into the far post. Haaland not on the field anymore to get on the end of that. Rudiger flicks the header away. Corner for Manchester City, 1-1.
Still pressing. Theoretically, there is still time. I'm sure that if they were to get 1 goal back now, people would start believing. There does need to be something special. The normal hasn't worked so far.
Give them something to take to Wembley on Sunday, were they to beat Real Madrid with 10 men, even if they went out of the competition. Corner comes in from the left, in towards the near post. Lunin, strong fist of the ball away. Mbappe battling with Doku. Doku trying to get past Alexander-Arnold, goes down inside the box. City fans go up, City players don't really. Doku's done really well to win that back for Manchester City. Cherki on the move, cross comes in, but couldn't find Gahey in the middle, and Lunin makes the catch. Salford have a third at home against Barrow. Fabio Barini made it Salford 3, Barrow 1. Swindon now 2-0 up away to Gillingham. Crewe have equalised at Cheltenham in League Two. That's 1-1. And Crawley Town with an 89th minute penalty have made it 1-1 against Barnet. Chelsea 2-0 down, 3-0 down, I beg your pardon, at Stamford Bridge against Paris Saint-Germain. That is 8-2 on aggregate. Arsenal 2-0 up at home against Leverkusen. Commentary over on Sports Extra. 3-1 on aggregate to Arsenal. They're going through to face Sporting in the quarter-finals. And Sporting beat Bodeglimt 5-0 tonight, having lost the first leg 3-0. Nico Gonzalez waiting to come on for Manchester City. This game is 1-1. So City 4-1 down on aggregate. Leon.
I think this substitution could tell you everything about Pep's feeling about the remaining time in this game.
Here's Doku, collects the pass on the left. Valverde took his eye off him for a second there. Doku tried to nip past him. Valverde makes the block. And behind it goes for the corner. Nico Gonzalez gets a little pat on the back from Kolo Touré.
He's been bright, Doku. I think this is probably as sharp as I've seen him. Maybe trying to be a threat, getting past people, putting balls into dangerous areas. Doesn't quite made that crucial moment with regards to getting himself on the score sheet.
Camavinga waiting to come on. Corner comes in. Semenyo jumped. Ball was loose for a second inside the 6-yard box. Passed out of the penalty area towards Vinicius by Tchouameni. Manchester City break it up. Gahey onto Ake, edge of the penalty area, slides it across to Cherki, lines the shot up, beats one more man. Cherki shoots wide. Lunin again, full stretch, had it covered, and behind it goes for the goal kick. I mean, shots at Erling Haaland didn't have a shot on goal in the first leg. They've threatened a heck of a lot more in the second leg. Different game, different context.
Yeah, they have. I think Real Madrid will tell you that the majority of them have been from distance and probably easily covered by the goalkeepers. There was a spell, as I said, in the first 10 or 15 minutes where Manchester City did really have Real Madrid on the back foot, creating chances 12 yards out or so, and even then Courtois managed to stand up to them.
So Camavinga will come on for Arda Güler, and Manuel Angel is going to come on. Just turned 22 years old on Sunday. This a 5th substitute appearance of the season for him. Made his Champions League debut last week as a substitute against Manchester City. So Güler walks off. Camavinga, the French international, comes on, and Pitarch, who's now started 5 games in a row, the 18-year-old in the Real Madrid midfield, is replaced by Manuel Angel, who is teeny tiny. Number 37 on his back. Goal kick for Real Madrid. 1-1 on the night. 17 minutes plus added time remaining, and League Cup final on the way for Manchester City on Sunday. 4:30 kickoff at Wembley. Steve Crossman presenting the show live from Wembley all Sunday. and that is the centrepiece of it. But we do have Spurs Nottingham Forest in the Premier League, full commentary at 2:15, and Aston Villa West Ham on Sports Extra. Saturday 3 o'clock we've got Fulham Burnley, and Everton Chelsea is our 5:30 offering from the Premier League. And your fantasy football deadline, Leon, is Friday night, because Manchester United play Bournemouth on Friday, and that's important.
You know, I always need reminding.
Well, you do, and the podcast is there for you tomorrow with Chris Sutton and Statman Dave. The FPL pod from BBC Sport out every Wednesday. Invaluable fantasy football advice in there. If you play the game, if you're interested, go and find that on the BBC Sounds app. Here's Camavinga. Goal at Huddersfield, Adam Cottier.
In added time, Lincoln City, the League One leaders, are level from close range. Ryan Towler, the defender. It's Huddersfield 2, Lincoln 2.
And Cardiff behind tonight, 2-0 down at home to Wickham. But Lincoln with the late goal have got it back to 2-2. Real Madrid with Alexander-Arnold, and Mbappe suddenly goes through the gears. Chops inside, tries to beat Ake. Ake got a touch, that's going to go behind for a goal kick. Not according to Mbappe. Mbappe was already running over to the corner flag to take it, and he's lobbed the ball back onto the pitch, and he's going to get booked for that, because Manchester City were trying to go quick with a replacement ball and get the move underway. And Mbappe will protest his innocence, but he'll get booked.
Yeah, silly one, really. You can see his frustration. I did think it was a corner kick. Well, you can't throw the ball back on the pitch once the referees give a decision, and Donnarumma had already taken a goal kick.
Newcastle-Barcelona, or Barcelona-Newcastle I should say, because it's in the Nou Camp. John Murray and Chris Sutton already over there. We've heard from them this evening. 5:45 commentary on 5 Live tomorrow afternoon. Marmouche jumping with Rudiger. Free kick given against Rudiger. Manchester City free kick just short of the halfway line. So that starts 1-1, very much in the balance. Liverpool start 1-0 down at home against Galatasaray. We've got commentary on that tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And Spurs, again, like tonight, really, like Chelsea behind and Manchester City behind, need to score early to try and get the place buzzing, but that does look tough for them given the way they're playing at the moment, although an important point for them at Anfield at the weekend. They're 5-2 down on aggregate. And Aston Villa Lille, by the way, we've got full commentary of that in the Europa League on Thursday night. Here's Semenyo, back to Husanov. Husanov with his right foot across to Gehi, who came on as one of the half-time substitutes along with Ake. There is Ake, back across to Husanov. Real Madrid comfortably making their way towards the quarter-finals and on their way to knocking Manchester City out of the Champions League for the 4th time in 5 seasons. So Manchester City fans will be sick of the sight of Real Madrid. Ait Nouri, that's a good ball in behind. Doku is onto it on the left-hand side. Valverde tries to stick with him. Ait Nouri hits the shot. Lunin, good sharp save at his near post. Back it comes out to Nico Gonzalez. Passes sideways here to Cherki. Cherki with 2 defenders in front of him inside that penalty area. Left-footed cross into the far post. Not it down! Ait Nouri scores. The offside flag goes up again. Assistant referee, absolutely no fun this evening. But I think he's bang on, because he looked a long way offside, and it remains City 1, Real Madrid 1.
Yeah, well, that one's a shame. I'm not sure. I'm seeing it again. The angle we're at, it's tough to see the offside line, but it didn't look like he wanted it where he needed to be offside. Yeah, seeing it again, he's a good yard and a half offside. I mean, it's really poor from him, if I'm being completely honest. When you're in that situation, you've got to look across the line. Yes, I know he's a defender, but you know the real just as good. It was really good play initially that got Ait Nouri the Everton goal. No surprise, I'm saying. Good save from the Real Madrid goalkeeper again this evening, despite them changing at half-time. But when it came back in, really good play. Cheeky play from Cherki. Dink ball to the far post, and Ait Nouri just stood a hard offside. Really poor.
Cheeky from Cherki. Mbappe back in the action, having missed 5 games, on the ball for Real Madrid just inside the Manchester City half. He does look sharp, and he looks like he's enjoying himself. Full-time at Cardiff, Molly Stevens.
Cardiff miss a golden opportunity to close the gap on Lincoln. The gap now 5 as Wickham win and move up to 8th. 2 goals from subs Andre Vidigal and Cauley Woodrow in the second half means it ends second place 10-man Cardiff 0, playoff chasing Wickham 2.
Full-time at Watford in the Championship as well, playing Wrexham tonight. Charlie Slater.
Almost at full time. It's Watford 3, Wrexham 1. We're deep in stoppage time. Eduardo Bove has just put the icing on the cake. Watford will win this. It will mean that Wrexham are just 3 points clear of the chasing pack, while Watford will cut the gap to 5 points. It's Watford 3, Wrexham 1.
12 minutes left in this game. Manchester City need 3 goals, down to 10 men as they have been for a long time. Looks like Arsenal are heading through tonight. They're leading Leverkusen 2-0 on the night, 3-1 on aggregate. And Chelsea 3-0 down at home. That is a ridiculous shirt pull from Alexander-Arnold. That is the most blatant yellow card you'll ever see. Had a full handful of Marmous's shirt. He was running away from him. Cynical stuff. Alexander-Arnold is booked.
A silly one from him as well. Unnecessary this stage of the game, and just because when he made a forward run into the penalty area, the ball didn't get to him and he just ambled back. And if you're a full-back and you go back that slowly, you're going to leave a gap. He probably got nervous by the gap he left and just grabbed Marmoush, not once but twice. The referee had no choice.
So free kick, Manchester City. Had the ball in the net a couple of times in the second half, both ruled out for offside. Loads of chances early in the game before Bernardo Silva got sent off. If one of those had gone in, then who knows. But in this tie, completely undone by that fabulous first half hat-trick last week in the Bernabeu from Federico Valverde. 3 stunning finishes from the Uruguayan, and it means Real Madrid will march on unless we're going to see something very, very special in the last 10 minutes of this game. Semenyo, low pass. Cherki's touch, finds Ake, looking for Cherki again. Garcia's got that covered. Fran Garcia at left back for Real Madrid. Forward to Vinicius, quickly on to Mbappe. That's a worry for Ait Nouri. Mbappe's got the pace here to get past him. Ait Nouri's trying to stick with him. He's not going to do that. Has hold of his shirt, has to be a penalty. Referee shakes his head. Well, he started the grab outside the box, maybe let go. Mbappe went down, maybe could have carried on. How's that not a penalty, Leon?
I think he's being generous. I think there's no doubt that he had a huge chunk of his jersey so that he could make the challenge. I think had he brought that back, referee, I think he's got no option but to give a red card. Maybe that's the situation, maybe. Yeah. But there's no doubt that he definitely had a chunk of the shirt of Mbappe. The blister and pace off the mark. It's left Ait Nouri for dead within the first 5 or 10 yards. He got back just about, but wow.
It's one of the great sides. That's got to be offside. Oh, this flag stays down. Vinicius is through, one-on-one against Donnarumma. Donnarumma makes the save. Back to Valverde. Block on the line by Ake. Valverde thumps it in, and then the flag goes up. Thought that was coming. The fans are getting really annoyed by the late offside flags. There was some brilliant last-ditch defending there by Donnarumma and Ake, and then Valverde thought he had his 4th goal of the tie, and then the flag goes up. Still 1-1.
Just the amount of time that it gets played on. Vinicius Junior was always offside, tried to jump back onside. It did look like it was a good body lean and a bit offside. Was obviously the officials will have a look at it. When he ran through, it's then deflected away after a good save from Donnarumma. Valverde then has 2 efforts before the flag goes up, and I think we're looking at it from the naked eye. It looked comfortably offside, but we'll see it again.
Waiting for the game to get back underway. Cardiff have lost in League One to Wickham tonight. I think full-time whistle has gone at Huddersfield. Adam Cottier.
And this was a real test of endurance for the League One leaders, Lincoln. They draw 2-2 here. They were 2-0 down, but 2 long throws into the penalty area have caused problems. Riley Towler, in the 3rd minute of added time, got them back to 2-2. They're 21 unbeaten, Lincoln. They draw 2-2 here in Yorkshire.
Trent Alexander-Arnold is being roundly booed off the field as a former Liverpool player here at the home of Manchester City, to be replaced by Danny Carvajal. Full-time whistle is blown at Vicarage Road in the Championship. Watford 3, Wrexham 1. We'll have all the scores for you before 10:30, but if you missed any of them, BBC Sport website is always the place to go. Football pages, everything there for you, including all the write-ups, all the stories from the football tonight. Arsenal going through, Sporting have gone through, so it's going to be Arsenal Sporting in the quarter-finals. Chelsea going out, Manchester City going out. 3 more English teams in action tomorrow. We have 7 minutes plus added time remaining here. John Southall, what's happening at Arsenal?
Well, 3 minutes to play here, Ali. It's still Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0, 3-1 on aggregate, but almost a lifeline for Leverkusen. Kafane, who you saw last week, who was really impressive. Good effort, right over the area, flying save by Raya to deny him. Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0.
Doku's cross into the penalty area, eventually volleyed away by Garcia. Side-footed forward by Husinov. Here's Gonzalez, who's on for Rodri now. So Rodri being given a rest ahead of the League Cup final. Fascinating game, that one, Leon, isn't it? Obviously, Arsenal-Manchester City Sunday at Wembley.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially with Manchester City playing what are we saying, an hour here with 10 men. Pep already having to think it through, make changes, try and keep people fresh.
Great ball from Cherki to Semenyo, and Semenyo collides with Housen inside the penalty. That'll be a free kick to Real Madrid. It was a coming together in the box. Cherki's clever pass released Semenyo. It just went too far ahead of him, and Housen was brave to throw himself in the way of that. The collision means free kick Real Madrid.
Yeah, I mean, really good defending, good positive ball in for Semenyo to get onto, and his touch was just too heavy. Didn't give himself a chance to really get on the end of it. It was too far. Housen spotted it, came over in a flash, and yes, cleared it, and then there's contact. Semenyo didn't even offer a challenge. They just collided after that. I get frustrated when defenders get those as free kicks. It used to just be classed as good defending. Now they get a free kick if a striker touches them.
Just over 5 minutes to play. Leon will be here through until 10:30 tonight on 5 Live Sport. All the reaction in the Football Daily podcast, which will be knocked together after the show and will be there for you later tonight. Available on the BBC Sounds app. Housen forward to Camavinga. Camavinga stops, passes back across his own half to Tchouaméni, French international teammate. Tchouaméni has the ball under his right foot, back to Rudiger, across to Housen. And for all the efforts Manchester City have had and the saves particularly Courtois made in the first half, Real Madrid are going to win this tie at the moment by 3 goals, and it's been pretty comfortable for them. Could be more. That looked onside here. Vinicius, no, took his eye off the ball, and Guehi makes the tackle. Donnarumma's pass forward to Gonzalez finds him. Back to Guehi again. Guehi passes across his own penalty area to Ake. Ake back to Donnarumma, and Donnarumma clips one forward on the diagonal. Semenyo jumps, and it was going over his head, and Garcia for some reason jumped into the back of him, and that's given a free kick to Manchester City. May well be asked the question after the game. Pep Guardiola, he's not going to answer it, whether it's his last Champions League night for the club. 3 more trophies to try and win this season. What's he won? 15 major honours with the club. This is 10th season, 6 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, the Champions League, the Super Cup, and the Club World Cup as well. Here's Ait Nouri. Ait Nouri down that left-hand wing for Doku. Doku running at Rudiger. He'll enjoy that, but Rudiger's blocked his cross, and actually the last touch came off Doku and went behind for the goal kick. I wonder what the big selection calls will be for that League Cup final for Manchester City. I mean, you'd imagine Semenyo will start, having not started tonight, wouldn't you?
I think a lot of players that are on the substitutes bench have got a really good opportunity to play. You look at Foden, Semenyo, O'Reilly, Guehi, maybe Marmoush, John Stones, maybe. I know he hasn't had a lot of game time, but because of the amount of minutes that these have got on the pitch.
Foden's an interesting one. Let's get to Chelsea. Full-time whistle has blown there up against Paris Saint-Germain tonight. It has not gone well. Chris Coles.
It has not gone well. 3-0 Paris Saint-Germain win, 8-2 winners on aggregate. As convincing as the scoreline suggests, Kvaratskhelia and Barcola in the first 15 minutes. Mayulu added a third in the second half. Chelsea kept going, didn't really create anything of note. And you know it's one-sided when the referee plays 0 minutes of stoppage time. Pat Nevin, a sorry night for Chelsea.
8-2, there can be no excuses. They're not even close, Chelsea, at this point in time. Made lots and lots of mistakes. I don't know if they've done anything else could have made a difference. Humbling evening.
Chelsea 0, PSG 3. The holders go through 8-2 on aggregate.
Chelsea will feature in our 5:30 commentary on Saturday away to Everton in the Premier League. Semenyo driving forward with the ball at his feet to Marmoush, who picks up the running and has support from Husanov on his right-hand side. Let's have a little look at the stopwatch. 2 minutes plus added time to go. Cherki shoots, well blocked on the edge of the box. Vinicius will get there first. Loose layoff, put Garcia in trouble, but Real Madrid have dealt with that. And then Vinicius with the outside of the right foot. That's Valverde, is it? Still running strong with the ball. It is, there he is. Little back heel. Trying something clever. No, Tchouaméni was never going for that. And Valverde's annoyed with himself there, or annoyed with Tchouaméni. Just punches the turf in frustration. Ball forward to Cherki. He's looked dangerous at times this evening. Flicks it back with his left foot to Husanov. Husanov to Ait Nouri. Never know, do you? If Manchester City had scored that first goal, if they kept 11 on the field. Could they have done it tonight? Could they have won it by 3? Well, of course they could have won it by 3 clear goals. Would Real Madrid have put in a slightly different performance? Here's Ake. Ake goes wide to Doku. Doku into the penalty area. Low cross comes in towards the near post. Blocked by Rudiger, behind for another Manchester City corner. Leon.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they've taken the corner quickly again. Giving you no time here.
No time at all. Well, I was giving you no time. Here's Cherki on the ball. Lays it back to Aït-Nouri. Aït-Nouri's got right underneath that. Lofted one to Ake. Nods it down. Valverde is there. Overhead kick away. Aït-Nouri tries the volley with the right foot and completely missed the ball. Air shot on the edge of the box. Husanov does well to win that ahead of Mbappe. The City fans love that. Doku. Cross here to Cherki. Can City win this game with a late goal? Not like that. Real Madrid have intercepted, and Valverde comes steaming away. Lean, angular figure. To Vinicius. Will he have the last say? Mbappe's made the run. He's offside. Vinicius doesn't release the pass. Camavinga gives it to Valverde. Real Madrid are slowing it down. 3 minutes of added time remaining at the end of this game. Manchester City are heading out of the Champions League at the last 16 stage tonight. The season before, they went out in the playoff round against Real Madrid. The season before that, it was the quarter-finals against Real Madrid. They went out on penalties. For a club of Manchester City's playing potential and what they've achieved and the manager they've got, they will feel that is not good enough. Valverde, he might have the last say. Outside of the right foot finds Vinicius. Across to Mbappe, just outside the Manchester City penalty area. Mbappe takes his time, sees an option wide to the right. Cross comes in, drops here to Valverde, controls it on the right foot. Finds Vinicius, Donnarumma saves, back to Vinicius and into the back of the net. And Real Madrid are going to win the game on the night, as well as winning it by a big margin on aggregate. A few half-hearted boos from the City fans. Donnarumma is in amongst the Real Madrid celebrations for some reason, but Vinicius has his second goal of the night. Real Madrid 2-1 up late in the game and now leading the tie 5-1 on aggregate. Final nail in coffin.
Yeah, just the first real time in the second half that Real Madrid have decided to try and make an effort on goal. I think that's only their third. The second was from Mbappe the moment he came on. On the previous 2 attacks, Valverde's burst forward, he's burst through the lines and just decided to pass it backwards. On this occasion, actually, he's just decided to flash it right into the middle of the goal. And Vinicius thought he'd scored.
Offside.
But just seeing the replay, and it's offside.
He's offside. So it remains 1-1 on the night. Manchester City need 3 goals, and they've got about 90 seconds to do it. Here's Rudiger. Cuts out a pass inside the Real Madrid half. But the Manchester City fans delighted that Vinicius hasn't been able to enjoy that moment. But the fans that are celebrating, you can see them decked out all in white, twirling the scarves above their heads, dreaming of a 16th European Cup this season. The Real Madrid fans, 3-0 win in the first leg, and it looks like we are going to finish 1-1 tonight. Last minute of the game. Ball comes across to Camavinga. Manchester City have given it plenty in this game. Plenty of efforts on goal, denied by Courtois in the early stages. Bernardo Silva sent off. Then it really became impossible for them. Vinicius scored the penalty. Haaland got the equaliser. And Manchester City unable to find a way through in the second half. Real Madrid have always had them comfortably at arm's length. Real Madrid attacking late, down the right-hand side. Vinicius waiting in the middle, so's Mbappe, early cross, Vinicius scores with his left foot, and this time the flag stays down, and this time he really enjoys the celebration. Swerving, dancing moves, down by the byline. Hammer blow for Manchester City right at the end of the game. Their captain sent off in the first half, heading out of the Champions League for the 3rd season in a row at the hands of Real Madrid, beaten 2-1 on the night and 5-1 on aggregate.
And that's just what they can do to you. I mean, talking moments ago about their control of this second half and then passing backwards, getting forwards, keeping the ball at will, not really trying to hurt Man City. And I thought they'd scored moments ago. There was a bit of frustration within that. There was a bit of giving and taking between Donnarumma and the team. That goal got disallowed. Suddenly, Real Madrid wanted one. Suddenly, they desired a goal. And from that, suddenly, short bits of play, back to Tchouaméni, brilliantly whipped in ball. Kevin De Bruyne-like in its delivery. And who's there? Vinicius Jr. opens his left foot out, just lets it hit it. into the back of the goal. Just they can score at will, this Real Madrid team.
Yeah, before tonight, hadn't scored in 7 games against Manchester City. Vinicius has 2 tonight. It is all over. Pep Guardiola marches across to his right to find Alvaro Arbeloa to go and congratulate Real Madrid. But once again, they have done for him in the Champions League. They've beaten Manchester City 2-1 on the night, 5-1 on aggregate. The questions will swirl. Will that be Pep Guardiola's last Champions League night here at Manchester City? But he has other things to think about, because on Sunday there's a trophy to be played for. 3 more still to win this season. The League Cup final against Arsenal on Sunday, but the Champions League not to be this season, Leon Osman.
No, I think it was always going to be very difficult to beat Real Madrid by the amount of goals that you needed to this evening. It was lost a week ago. It was lost in the first leg. Whether you say the tactics were wrong, whether you say it was just an awful evening defensively, Pep Guardiola would be best answering that one himself. But I think this one was there there was an opportunity slightly. They started brilliantly, but they needed a goal in that first 10 or 15 minute spell, and what they certainly needed to do was keep all 11 men on the pitch. And once that happened, once Real Madrid broke, once Bernardo Silva saw red for that handball with his elbow on the line, this game was beyond them.
Well, since Manchester City beat Real Madrid in the second leg of the semi-final in 2023, en route to winning the Champions League, they have faced them 6 times in legs of knockout ties in the Champions League, and they've not won a single game. Real Madrid have got their number. They've knocked them out of the Champions League for the 3rd season running, for the 4th time in 5 seasons. Valverde at the treble in the first leg, Vinicius at the double in the second leg. League Cup final next on the agenda for Manchester City. They've lost 2-1 on the night, and they go out 5-1 on aggregate.
Alistair Bruce-Ball and Leon Osman are at the Etihad for us this evening. And Ali, you said at the end there are wider questions for Manchester City, and we will cover them, about what happens for the rest of this season and even beyond between now and 10:30. But Leon, on the match itself, you kind of alluded to it in your commentary of Real Madrid's second goal, the Vinicius Junior goal, where you said it was almost as though Real Madrid